Guerrilla cricket. Whoa. Guerrilla cricket. Whoa. Guerrilla Take guard, man the barricades, patrol the cover boundary. At last the time is come, this is a cricketing emergency. Hear this call to arms for every cricket revolutionary. Take up your bats and stumps for the test match insurgency. At first they tried to silence us, but we would not be silenced. They threatened us with lies, so we threatened them with violence. Che Guevara, Sangakkara, Joseph Stalin, Douglas Jardine, Robespierre, Darrell Hare, Vladimir Lenin, O'Brien Kevin, guerrilla cricket. It's not about the winning, it's about how many rules you break. Even in cricket commentary, this is the best advice to take. Pick guerrilla cricket, it's the finest choice you'll ever make. There's so much more to cricket than rev counters and a slice of cake. At first they tried to sanitize us and clean up our act, but people like it filthy, and we know that for a fact. Fidel Castro, Lenny Pascoe, Carlos the Jackal, Umar Akmal, Mahatma Gandhi, Grant and Andy, Brendan Behan, Austin Ian, guerrilla cricket. Stick with us, cause you know we're not the kind of thing that you see on the TV and the radio. So vive la revolution. First they tried to buy us, but we would not be bought. Okay, we were, but then we ran away, and we will not be caught. Would not give up the ghost when they left us all for dead. They decapitated us, but we just grew another head. Chairman Mao, Jamie Howe, Ho Chi Minh, Asif Din, Václav Havel, Graham Saville, No Surrender, Percy Fender, Che Guevara, Sangakkara, Joseph Stalin, Douglas Jardine, Robespierre, Darrell Hare, Vladimir Lenin, O'Brien Kevin, guerrilla cricket.
Good morning, welcome to Guerrilla Cricket and day 4 of this second test from Chennai. Now, according to the Cambridge English Dictionary, a miracle is an unusual and mysterious event that is thought to have been caused by a god because it does not follow the usual laws of nature. It's recorded from the Middle English word, which comes in fact from the Latin miraculum, object of wonder, and Joe Root may well be wondering how England have got themselves into this mess, or indeed can they get themselves out of it. They have to score a further 429 runs to win, having already lost 3 wickets, or they could survive 2 full days for a draw on a pitch where they've just made just 134 runs in the first innings in less than 60 overs. Remember, India have compiled 615 runs on it in their 2 innings so far. Root and Lawrence are at the crease. For what it's worth, our friends at WinViz have India at 99% to win, and England win at 1%, and the draw, well, if it's 99 and 1, you can guess what they're saying about the draw. There isn't any. England, though, will be desperate to wrestle back some of the belief that came from their first test win on the same ground just a few days ago. Today's show might, I suspect, be brief. But we're glad you're here. I'm Tony Bishop, Tony Bishop1 on Twitter, and with me are Gary Naylor. Morning, Gary.
Morning, delighted to be here. Like you, I don't think we'll be here for long, but while we're going to be here for a short time, we'll be here for a good time too.
We will. And following your missives and messages on social media, Ollie Turnbull. Morning, Ollie.
Morning, Tony. I hope you're well in the world, and it's kind of like turning up to a wake this morning, I believe, for England. So enjoy it while we're here, and send your messages in.
Well, that's a cheery start.
Exactly.
Now, Gary, the value of a good number 8. What an effort with the bat by Ravi Ashwin. What did you make of that?
Well, it was just splendid to see some vindication for the value of the number 8. But we know he's
doing impressions of yourself.
Doing impressions of not Fred, doing impressions of me. Yeah, it's getting that meta. We know that Ravichandran Ashwin on pitches that are low, it doesn't matter if they're turning, as long as he's not getting it in and around the ear holes, he is a perfectly competent batsman. I think there's been test matches on the subcontinent he's batted as high as 6. He's certainly done 7 in the past, and he came out, he had the captain at the other end who was being very circumspect was His Holiness, and he wasn't even caught out by the Pope, was His Holiness, and he came out with a plan which was to attack. I think he swept his second ball to the boundary. He wasn't going to die wondering. He had a little bit of luck. He dropped off a couple of very hard chances, but cricket is what you make of your luck. It's like what you make of the pitch, and he had 2 jobs really, I think. The direct job was to take the game away from England, which has been well and truly taken away from England, and the other job he had to do was to quieten the whine and the howls of whinging from people who say this pitch is unplayable. It's difficult, but it's not unplayable. How can it be unplayable if your number 8 gets 100 and odd?
Well, I can also tell you the most hundreds batting at number 8 or lower. Daniel Vittori's had 5, Ravi Ashwin 3, Kamal Akmal at 3, and Jason Holder 3. So he's in some pretty good company there as well. Ollie, do you see any hope for England, or what is the ceiling of their ambition for today?
If they got to T, I think that would be a miracle in itself. I think sometimes games are gone, and this is the chance. England need to regroup. They've been outplayed by some great cricket by India. As much as England haven't played particularly well, India played some great cricket, and you have to give them credit for that. I think Rohit's innings in the first innings there was superb. It reminded me of Sehwag back in the days. Just get the side off with a tempo and take the game to England. Mm-hmm. England would have come into that game with you 1 up, and then suddenly within 3 hours, Rohit Sharma's almost taken the game away from you. But no, look, for me, as soon as the toss was lost, and you saw those few puffs of dust come off that pitch, it was always going to be a struggle for England, because you knew you were going to have to face Ashwin in the 4th innings, let alone the 2nd innings. So I think if England get through to T, go and end up with 250, get some dignity, then I think that's a good thing that England can hope for today.
So you're seeing tea and dignity, okay? Tea and dignity, what a good combination that is.
Well,
invite the vicar. Technique. Well, Gary, can I come to you about technique?
Well,
it's too simple, isn't it, to say India are better playing on a turning pitch? They've had the standout performance, though, in each innings, haven't they?
Well, it is too simple, but I just want to give a teensy-weensy little bit of hope for England. Not of a victory, that's out of sight. But India think they've got this game won, and that's a dangerous state of mind, because they'll be a little bit impatient. Nobody likes living in these bubbles. They all want to move to Ahmedabad and get on with the next thing, go there, get the 1-1. And if England can dig in, get a bit of luck, maybe the fielding goes a bit dodgy, the ball goes a bit soft. If we can get through to T with maybe Root still there, and then if we can get through to around lunchtime tomorrow, say England at 320, 340, that will send England to Ahmedabad feeling like they've actually done quite well here, and it will take India onto a little bit of a downer. So I think England's objective is really to prey on the impatience perhaps of India, and to get through to lunch tomorrow. I don't think they'll do it, but I think that'll be a chance. And when it comes to technique, move your feet, get your head over the ball, go fully forward or fully back, but most of all, watch the ball.
You're seeing Root still in at T and us going into tomorrow.
I'm not seeing it, but I'm
the
thinking
Naylor world.
That is a reasonable objective, because you've got to have something other than back 2 days.
All right, well, the participants are at the crease. Let's jingle up the first of them.
When you gotta fight your way from the streets, gonna find a way to land in your boots. His voice is high-pitched and ginger hair like a pict, but massive runs he has hit, so there's that. Introduce yourself.
Joe Root.
Introduce yourself.
Joe Root.
Introduce yourself.
Joe Root, actually.
I've got.
What time is it? Dan time, Dan time. Yo, 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 yo. I'm Dan Lawrence, new to the scene. I can open up.
Siraj is going to open the bowling. It's down leg side. It's taken probably to his left to try on a sharp punt. No run. We're off running.
Little bit of Hamilton there on the jingle, I think, for Dan Lawrence. I've got a better formulation for that rather sleepy attempt at giving England an objective. I think England have got to aim to make the highest score of the 4 innings in this innings. I think if they can do that, they can go to Ahmedabad feeling like they've got something to go into the day-night test, which will be, something of interest.
Siraj in again. Solidly defended by Lawrence, and again there is no run. 53 for 3. He's bowling from the Anna Pavilion end is Siraj. Word or two for him, by the way, yesterday. What did he make? 19 was it? But goodness me, well, he smacked those 2 whopping sixes once he had seen Ravi Ashwin to his 100. It was a lovely innings of 2 parts, and I thought full marks for the way he played things yesterday. Pulled by Root, I beg your pardon, it wasn't Lawrence, pulled by Root down to long leg where Shant Sharma is patrolling, grazing, and will just be a single. He didn't really get hold of that quite as he would have wanted, I don't think, Root, but it's got him off and running for the morning. And he certainly got over it tidily, pulled it down, and England have the scoreboard ticking. Crowd as ever is once again in. What a delight it is to see that, Gary.
It is, all in the shade, not socially distancing, but still, that's the only pull shot Root will hit all day, I promise you that.
Siraj, and he immediately finds one to move away from the right-handed Lawrence, who, to be fair, I think was pulled inside it, but it was undoubtedly the ball of the morning so far. Enough movement off the pitch, and Lawrence certainly hadn't really got his feet going yet, and the Bear is shaking his head. What are you chuckling at, Bear?
Ball of the morning, there'd only been 3.
Well, so far. Fair enough. Out of which, that was undoubtedly the ball of the morning so far. Technically, 100% accurate. Siraj is in again. That wasn't the ball of the morning because it wasn't as good as the previous ball. And that was pushed away into the offside for no run. 54 for 3, England we have. That was the 4th ball of the morning, by the way. And there is 1 ball left off this Siraj over, who we were lauding for his efforts with the bat yesterday, and rightly so.
I tell you what, I hope Ollie's awake, because I don't think the 3 of us are.
He manages to find one that sort of moves away with a little bit in the air, a little bit off the seam, beats the bat. It's the ball of the morning. It doesn't matter if it's the 2nd ball. 54 for 3. Siraj in again. Forward comes Lawrence. Dabs this past point, and we will get 2 runs. Will they, these 2? Yes, they do. So Lawrence moves on to 19. 56 for 3. It's the end of the over. I believe we have plenty of people to talk to and about. Ollie, so over to you.
We certainly do. So good morning to everyone. Thank you for all the messages. So we have the Harryman. Morning to you, gentlemen. Morning to you. Alex Mummery. Given Folkes' obvious quality, I've no real problem with it. But given there's no real chance of Ashwin charging ball and batting way out of his crease, wasn't it the right tactic, wasn't it? Sorry, Alex correcting himself. I mean, probably doesn't matter in hindsight. It would have been a tough chase, even with Ashwin getting out for under 50. It still have been a tough chase, I would have thought. Jimmy Danger, morning fellas. The greatest comeback in history of the game begins today. Well, I like your optimism. Diane Craddock, good morning everyone from Andalus here in Spain. Good morning.
Yeah, I hope that comeback. I was going to say, I hope that comeback doesn't refer to India losing the first test and doing a similar thing to Australia.
Well, it could. Sorry, just be some comeback.
Just one more Chelsea Fan FC TV, Taylor. Morning all. Morning to you, Taylor. And Alex Murray, keep the stumpings up for Ben Folkes.
Well, Axar Patel is going to be continuing the attack for India. 2 for 15 so far off his 9. He's bowling from the Pattabhiram gate end. Let's jingle him up.
The stroke plays diverse, and as sweet as a slice of Battenberg. Aksha, 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 because if he can score runs,
It comes route, no run. 56 for 3.
Lovely ball.
It was.
That will bring him some wicked.
Ball of the day, I'd say.
Oh, Aksha, Aksha, Aksha.
Well, it was. It was the ball of this. Certainly the ball of this over. It being the first. And here he is now for his second. And again, a repeat performance. That one bounced more. The first one went past the edge. I think Root knew where the line was, knew which way he was going to turn and played inside it. That one, as has been the issue for England, that extra bounce on that occasion did whip it past the bat. I think Root again knew the line he was going to take, and he allowed for the ball's movement. 2 slips and a forward short leg in place. But Root this time, at the third time of asking, lays some bat on it, and there is no run. 56 for 3.
It's a different context, the quote, but it's one of Graham Gooch's more famous ones, which I'll come to after this delivery.
Oh, fantastic. In comes Patel, onto the back foot goes Root, tucks it away past that man at forward short leg, and they will jog a single.
Yeah,
Good from this England, at least keep the scoreboard ticking.
When you compare this guy, Ashar, to Nadeem, who played in the first test, it's like going from Ilford seconds to the World 11. Because this lad is on debut, but he can really bowl. And poor old Nadeem looked very much outclassed in that first test.
Yeah, well, he had that little spell at Durham, did Axar Patel, so he's some familiarity, I think, to English viewers and listeners at least. 57 for 3. Around the wicket he comes to the right-handed Lawrence, and there's no run. A Root, I beg your pardon, they took 2, didn't they? So still Root.
It strikes me as a very kind of 21st century spinner, bowling a bit quicker than they used to bowl in the 20th century, and putting the ball in the pitch much harder.
Lawrence waits, guides this into the offside. It was Lawrence, and there's no run. It's the end of that Axar over. Another thing in his favour, he whips through them quickly.
He does. I'll just say one other thing as well, is that beaten in the flight, and the Bear might know a little about this, it used to be you wanted to get the ball above the eye line and have the ball drop in a kind of parabola, where now beaten in the flight, you want to bowl it quite quick and have the revs do the job to drag the ball down before it hits the pitch and then spins. And he's very much of that, of the kind of post-Graham Swan, maybe DRS school of bowling quite quick through the air. Monty was quite quick through the air, and so, of course, is Moeen.
Very much so. Siraj is going to continue, and left alone outside of his off stump by Joe Root. Didn't have the best of things in the first innings. Just a 6 to his name, I think, wasn't it, in the first innings? Yeah, he was caught by Ravi Ashwin off the bowling of Axar Patel.
Yeah, big top edge off a sweep. You live by the sweep, you die by the sweep.
Sooty may well have not said. 57 for 3. Siraj operating from that Hannah Pavilion end. 482, Lord. I mean, what a target that is. I mean, it's a million miles away, is that target. As we were saying before the show, Root tucks in behind that. Little bit of excitement from Siraj, hand on his head, bit of an ooh. But I think Joe Root was comfortably in behind that and knew precisely what he was doing.
Siraj has got the zinc cream all over the face here, which gives him the vague sort of mien of a kind of Japanese no theatre. I know Kohli, is that Kohli or is that Rahane? It's Rahane, I think. He has it as well. But this whitening right across the face does have a kind of Japanese feel to it.
Which makes him jump, hand off the bat from Root away into the leg side, leapt up at him a bit. Again, we're seeing some lively bounce. Note from Bear to us saying, is anything going to happen to Kohli? Yes. We don't know yet. The ICC have the right to step in and look at his histrionics yesterday, whereupon the likely level 1 or level 2 penalty would necessitate a 1-match ban. But A, it's unclear whether they've done it yet, and B, if they did it, whether that ban would be applied in this series. I suspect it possibly would, as solidly met by Root into the onside, which I rather think, gents, at the risk of sounding slightly cynical, means it's unlikely to happen.
The chance of Kohli being banned for the first test match at Mr. Modi's new Ahmedabad Stadium is significantly less than the chance of England hunting this down before lunch.
Well, yes, I was wondering to see if you would if you'd go down that road, Gary, and you certainly did. This one's down leg. That's the road that's down from Siraj, and it has Rishabh Pant skipping away to his left. We have loads and loads of your messages, and we let Ollie have a clear run at them at the end of the over. Plenty of people, I think, as well on YouTube, Ollie, so you're going to have your work cut out, mate.
Absolutely.
As I always say in Pointless, it's a tough gig on the first podium if you're on social media in the first session.
We've gone from Japanese theatre to Pointless. I'd love to be in the mind of Gary Naylor sometimes, the way it leaps around. As this one is met solidly by Root. Siraj fields off his own bowling. It's the end of the over. Ollie.
Thank you, Danny. So, Suman Nag, morning. Greta Cricket, morning, guy. Morning there, chaps. What's the plan for tomorrow? There doesn't seem to be lots of any cricket. Pretty likely. Manik, what's more likely, England winning or a drawing? I think pretty much neither. Elixir of Azal, a pitch should only be considered bad, only if there's unpredictable movement vertically, not sideways. Good point. Sumanag, 1-1 looks inevitable. Will there be any knee-jerk changes to the third test for England? I think
they've always had their plans for the day-nighter, to be honest, and I'm not sure this will have changed them, as this one is nicely guided away past point by Lawrence, and they'll take 2. There will be, actually, let's think that through. Bairstow, of course, is back in contention, isn't he? So the gentleman just doffing his cap there and facing at the moment might be one looking over his shoulder a wee bit, given that situation. Lawrence. Patel is in. 2 slips go down. That one does spit and leap. Is through to Rishabh Pant. Yeah, he was in decent form in Sri Lanka, wasn't he, Johnny B? There you saw that puff of dust. And quite a lot of bounce. So you had everything we were talking about. So again, nicely met on the back foot by Lawrence. Punched away to mid-wicket. Another single for him. He moves on to 24. So I think in the context of this series, this is a big innings for Lawrence.
Yeah, we talked about technique earlier on, and already Lawrence is showing one aspect of technique which I didn't mention, which is not following the ball. Once you see it spin, you can't let your hands go to the ball, because there be the edge.
Then again, round the wicket. Oh, that turned and bounced, and again Root tucked inside it. I think he knew precisely what it was likely to do, and he played for that. If Patel can find that one that skids on with the arm rather than turns, Root will have to be ready for it, because that one he did predict.
Yeah, he didn't follow it though. No,
he didn't. That's right. He's looking to sweep that one, which was a less judicious shot, I have to say, because it was well outside of his off stump. He didn't get anywhere near it. It bounced too high and was through to Rishabh Pant. And we'll give Ollie the floor again after this final ball of the over. Steered by Root. Backward of square, they will take a single, and we will let Ollie get on top of your messages.
Yeah, thanks Tony. Mrs. Luigi Magpie, thanks for flying the Yawn Patrol again.
Good morning.
Usually that's my lot. Being 8 hours behind GMT, I'm hoping to make it worthwhile. Tune in the USA, so good morning to yourself.
Delightful to have your company as ever.
Yeah. Andinya Dutta, the poor folks at Greta Cricket will be hoping not, I suspect. That's in relation to a lovely tweet from a gentleman who said that hopefully England will last a half extra hour and have to come back for 1 ball tomorrow. So Suman Nag, love the Joe Root jingle. Riley Taylor, morning. If England does get the runs they need before closing play today, the results are likely to happen. Well, I like your optimism. Jeff Perkins, was the fourth ball of the morning, Tony, or was the fourth ball of the morning, Tony? I think it's in relation to your...
Hold on 1 second. I'm not sure I understand the question as Root tucks in behind this ball from Siraj. Ask me that question again.
Was the fourth ball of the morning, Tony, or the fourth ball of the morning, Tony? So I think in relation to your ball of the morning comment.
It was the fourth ball of the morning, yes.
Yeah. We've got a lovely poem I'll read out the next break, which is slightly longer. We've got Mog, morning Mog. Still slightly shocked it's not over yet. You're in my camp there, Mog. Suman Nag, is this a big innings for Darren Lawrence? I think it's a huge innings for Darren Lawrence.
We all do, I think. This one is met solidly by Root to backward point, no run.
Axar did speak about pace, speed of bowling, spin on the pitch. He's a thinker. I think he's definitely a very thinking cricketer. And then Suman Nag again. Sorry, Sung, you're very popular this morning. What might be the reason for not bowling Cooley enough in this test match?
That's a good question. Let's come back to that in a while. I should just tell you, by the way, Suman is from What a Player. What a Player. Catch them on YouTube. We were guests on their show. I'll tell you in a moment. As Siraj is in and Roots meets this, and in fact, he's going to get runs for this. Captain Kohli is off in the hottest of pursuit, but they should have taken two there, didn't they? No, yes, they just took a single. Took a single. Yes, Suman is from What a Player, a fantastic video channel. We were guests at previewed the series when we were on with them. Talked about us a little bit. They set us quite an interesting quiz, which I think we coped with rather well, to be honest, although we struggled a bit without Knuckle. So watch out for them on YouTube. What a Player. Go and check them out, because they're well worthwhile. Siraj, that's a big old shout. His arms are spread wide. It ducked in to Lawrence. No interest at all from the umpire, and in fact, as the camera zooms in on Kohli, which is precisely where he likes it most of the time, it's all about me. Well, as we know from the first innings, when he was clean bowled and didn't want to walk, that looked like a bit of an inside edge to me, Gary.
Well, it was. I'll tell you something about Kohli though in the field, and you see this when you're there live. He is a compelling character. Okay, he does like the camera on him, but he controls the match through force of personality.
Siraj, and again the one slip, a forward short leg for Mohammad Siraj, turned away around the corner. It's another single for England.
I mean, I've never seen any player who is as compelling as he is in the field. You just have to watch him. Your eyes just get drawn sort of between deliveries. You're watching him because he's a bundle of energy all the time. He's always thinking. He's always trying to do something different. He's an imaginative captain. He's an inspirational captain. He does cross the line too often. Not many
from yesterday.
Well, yeah, not many captains who've been successful don't push that line, the famous Australian line.
Last ball of the over from Siraj. A bit leggy, and Joe Root says thank you very much, and tickles it past the square leg umpire for a single. He will keep the strike at 64 for 3.
I've got a quick question, and tweeters may be able to help me with this. I think Moeen is due to go home, and I'm not sure whether Crawley is fit to play in that.
Crawley, they said, was going to be out for 2 games, but they haven't actually confirmed he's definitely fit. So actually, when you look at that number 3 slot, you have both Bairstow and Crawley potentially pouring the ground like bulls ready to charge.
Yeah, I think Crawley will come in for Rory Burns actually and open, but it's going to be a combination of deliberate or plan changes and form changes, but we'll see. I'm sure there are tweets coming in.
There certainly are. Messrs is there. Morning all. Surely Burns should get dumped before Lawrence, unless he can finally get an effing haircut, of course.
Axar Patel in again from the Patterberman gate end. Backward point, no run. Ollie, keep them coming if you can, between balls maybe.
Morning from Newtown, Mike Mahilwood. Morning from Newtown, morning Mike. What's the best thing to hope for today? Players playing themselves into form for the next test. Crawley coming straight back of the next test, so pressure on Lawrence and Pope. It's a fair judge.
2 slips, forward short leg as in is Patel. Turned away into leg, another single. Gary actually said it incredibly concisely for Gary, actually, having had time to compose his thoughts. to get the highest score of the match would be a good objective for England, and I thought that encapsulated it uncharacteristically brilliantly. Gary.
There's a backhanded compliment if ever there was one. Good work from Root on that previous delivery. I'll come back to it after this one.
65 for 3. Lawrence forward. As we've been saying, we feel potentially the man under pressure. He's done all right though so far.
He went the whole way back, did Root there. Didn't lose his shape, unlike Sibley, whose dismissal we're seeing from yesterday.
Fell in again. Lawrence forward again. Patel. The very definition of ambling. We had a conversation, I think, was it on the first day, about different forms of walking, ambling, moseying, etc. And that
sashaying.
was sashaying. Well, I wouldn't think that was a sachet has a certain je ne sais quoi about it, doesn't it?
Well,
That's didn't have it. That's pushed to mid-on. No run again from Lawrence.
What I liked about Root with that delivery is he went right the way back. He watched the ball onto the bat, and then he just punched it into a gap where he could rotate the strike. And that's what Kohli did so successfully in both second innings, actually, in the first test and in this test. And it's a good sign for Root, I think.
So, and again, just the one off the over. That takes an edge. It's uppish. It's a way to cover. They'll get a single, but bounced more on Lawrence than he thought. He definitely wasn't in control of that shot. He'll be very grateful for the single. And he's helped himself to the strike at the same time. Ollie, back to you. Yeah. Don't forget YouTube as well, by the way.
Yep. Quick one from Mog. Here's a novel idea. England selectors just pick the best effing side. Fair point, I think, there. We've got a good question for you as well. Elixir Hazel. Can Kohli be banned for the Test Championship final? As that would be technically the next test after the series.
This is where we need Knackle. Knackle, are you awake? You are. Help us out on the answer to that question.
Yeah. Sorry.
Go on, I'll give you the answer. The answer is no.
Farong, let's get creative and add some new description to the language in the game of cricket. Ball of the day, Tony. That was an avocado. If you just bowled an avocado, Kohli will never get banned what's playing in India.
Avocado, yes. Which we have established was I can't remember even now. It was a fruit or vegetable. I can't remember.
Is that what you get if you're on a pear?
Look, very good, guys. Bears back in time to jingle up the hero of India's hour, the man who was magnificent yesterday, the man who would take 4 more wickets to join that club of 10 in a match and a century. Bear, can you jingle Ravish Ashwin for us?
Up against the spin, try to cover drive, and there they go again. I'm out LB to Ashwin.
He's replacing Mohammad Siraj. And, I'll tell you a little bit about his field in a minute. He's going to be bowling to Dan Lawrence. And I think Lawrence has come down the track. He's got him. He's come way out of his crease. Ashwin has struck first ball. Lawrence got himself into a complete mess. He skipped down the track. I think he realised immediately he'd done it, that he was in all sorts of bother. Panted, did the rest. Slightly messy, possibly not the LAN and style of folks, but it's done the job. Lawrence has gone and Ashwin has struck with his first ball of the morning.
Fuck off!
Your day.
Just fuck off!
Yeah, Pant left himself a little bit of extra to do there, Gary, didn't he? He just seemed to. It was one of those where he dived and you just thought, has he got to find an extra, 6 inches for his arm?
Yes, he needed a bit of go-go gadget, but he got there. It was poor play, really, from Lawrence. It's laudable to be positive against India's main threat, but you've got to give yourself a chance to see it. But his main problem is when you come down the wicket, you have to advance on the line of the leg stump, and he was in all kinds of trouble. He was all over the place. The ball ended up going between his legs, and then through to Pant, who did well to take the ball because it was a flurry of bat and pad and everything else. And then, as you say, he had to get back to the stumps and a little bit of go-go gadget work, remove the bails. They lit up, and I suspect with the bales lighting up, we'll see Dan Lawrence's Test career go dark for a while. But he's shown some guts and he's shown some good attitude. But on a pitch like this, in fact, on the subcontinent, full stop, you need a little bit more than guts and attitude.
It's a lovely line, but I just don't think they have the Zing bales in tests. But
they did. They lit up. Yeah, they definitely lit up. I'm certain they lit up. Unless, you know,
they've been
it's
using
really
the Zing
getting to
bales
me,
the
and
entire
I'm
series, Tone.
Dreaming.
What's that?
They've been using the Zing bales the entire series. You know,
Thank you,
Lord. Well, there you go.
Oh.
It's me, then I'm the one who can't see. Anyway, let's jingle up the new man. It is, of course, this chap.
I got up in Stokes and he called me a oh, if I'd only seen that Ben Stokes was so mean.
Ashwin around the wicket and solidly met by Stokes off the first ball he's faced. Second ball for Ashwin. It wasn't actually Stokes again in behind that. Ring of three surrounding the left-handed Stokes. Ashwin comes over the wicket, turned off his hit by Stokes. To short fine leg, no run.
That jingle
Wicket
brought to you
and
by
3 dots.
Broadway Mog.
Indeed, it was except for the language, which you tend not to see on Broadway in that kind of musical. But there we go. Oh, that one rips and beats the outside edge of Stokes. I mean, England might net themselves 4 byes here. No, they won't. It's hauled in just short of the rope. They should have run 2 byes there.
I shall refer you to the Book of Mormon, Tony, which includes
which is
some
fabulous,
language
by the way.
does not involve in the Book of Mormon.
No, you're absolutely right. Lively bit of fielding, that. Well done, India. For,
all important run save there. That might count in sort of 29 hours' time.
It was indeed 2 byes, as signalled as such by our umpire. Ashwin in again. Onto the back foot goes Stokes. Steers this to backward point. No.
Just a quick one, Tony.
End of the over.
Yep, just to get a few more in quickly, sorry. Ashwin bowls so fast you can't get him in. John Best, morning. Surely Folkes is the permanent keeper now once rotation dies down. Josh can fight for a spot at 6 or something. Fair point. Riley Taylor, why did the bats and the ball went camping? Because they forgot the crick tent. Neymar Butlins, is there an argument that England can now bat with wild abandonment? Nothing to lose, like the way I used to play pool when I first moved to the States. Drinking bourbon and twirling my cue like Tom Cruise.
Good Lord. Was he the hustler? Was he like, who am I thinking of? Paul Newman, aren't I?
Paul
Gary?
Newman is the hustler.
Yeah.
The black and white version is very, very full on. And then he played Tom Cruise played the Paul Newman part, I think, in the remake.
Ollie, sorry, I have to apologise. I made the cardinal error of asking Gary about a film while you were in the middle of trying to retweet.
Yes, tweets!
Yeah. There is every chance that Gary discussing film and theatre could go on long past whenever England are all out, but there we go. Sorry, Ollie.
Our Chopanos pant jumped so much he almost left his pants behind. Leah outside context problems. Good at cricket. That Ashwin lad is a bit overrated. He never got me out for a start. Me having never played against him is totally beside the point. So shut up already. And Mog, the old Stokes jingle reminds me of the days when I could actually do a half-decent song.
Axar Patel is into Joe Root. I think Joe Root will be looking hard at that Lawrence dismissal, and I suspect our Dan is on for an evening on the naughty step because under the circumstances it was just silly. And onto the back foot goes Root away into the onside. No run. All the more disappointing, I think, Gary, because he'd done so well up to that point.
Well, he played very positively. He came out yesterday and played positively. He wanted to get the ball into the open spaces of the leg side.
Patel is in, swept by Root. He's unfurled the first sweep of the day, but it's straight to deep mid-wicket, and he will just get a single and bring Ben Stokes yet to score.
It's a little bit like the natural game argument. I mean, shot selection is an important part of a batsman's skill set, and you can't just play the shot regardless of what the ball is. You can't just play with the attitude regardless of what the match situation is. And anybody surely would say, give the bowlers the first 45 minutes at least here, have a look, get the ball a little bit softer, get it to the 40th over, and then play.
Patel is in. One leaps again on Stokes. Played down into the ground. Again, no run. We're just watching repeat after repeat of the Lawrence brain fade. And it's like, when sometimes you fall over, I'll just hold that thought as Patel is in. Swept by Stokes. Bit uppish, but down to deep backward square. He will get himself off the run. Sometimes when you fall over, particularly if it's icy or snowy, it all seems to happen in very slow motion, doesn't it? That was all rather how it seemed that Lawrence lost his wicket, as he was 2 or 3 steps down the track and he suddenly thought, oh Lord, what have I done?
I think he
Too late
also
to do anything about it. Last ball of the over from Axar Patel, swept again by Root. This time it is away through mid-wicket and it is going to be 4 runs, and we will be due a change after we hear this jingle.
It's me, says she. It's me, says she.
I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of Ollie, Avi and the Bear. Cheers, chaps.
Can I just say hello to Avi, because it's been such a long time since we've been on air together, and I'm hoping we'll get a chance in this match, Avi, but perhaps we're destined not to meet over Zoom for a while yet, but I look forward to it.
You're on together, the session before lunch, if you get there.
If we get there.
I'll look forward to that.
Morning everyone, just to recap the scorecard there, it's 74 for 4 England are. Obviously still need 408 more runs to go, and Ashwin will continue to Ben Stokes round the wicket.
Oh.
Just outside leg stump. Oh, it's a bit of a top edge. Oh, he's got away with that. Just pushed down to short fine leg. And did they get through a run? They got through for a run.
They got through for a run.
Brings Joe Root back on the strike.
Big top edge, went straight up in the air. And yeah, it was a bit lucky there, really.
Yeah, it's pretty risky. That big puff of dust there comes out, risky shot. But do you think Stokes is going to go for it here, Bear?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, there is no point in doing anything. There's no point in fucking hanging about here, is there? I mean, you're not going to win. We're going to have to get a world record to win. And it's not going to happen on this pitch, I'm telling you. So you might as well just have fun. I mean, I can't see... I don't think they'll give it away, but I think they'll just be aggressive, and I think there's always a ball with your name on it, basically.
So Root down, sweeping into Ashwin. Lovely control shot down the steep square leg. Come through for a single. He does sweep so well, doesn't he? Question for you, Bed. Do you think people get seduced by Joe Root's sweep, and suddenly they all wake up one morning thinking they can sweep as well? There seems to be a bit of infection in the batting lineup, thinking they're all now sweepers of the ball.
Well, no, I think Stokes is a pretty good sweeper of the ball as well. I think this is a product. There you go.
And Stokes down the wicket there to Ashwin. Nicely controlled, just pushed it back.
It's a product of a lot of these players playing in the IPL, actually, and that kind of thing. It's short form cricket has brought out the sweep. It's one of the ways you score against the spinners, and in these short form tournaments, the leggies and all these people are, there's loads of them.
Ashwin again around the wicket there, nicely controlled by Stokes. Ashwin looks like a good rhythm already here this morning. And again, the wicket he got. Did he see Dan Lawrence coming and push it on the leg side, or was it?
I think he probably did.
Oh, wow, that's a great ball from Ashwin there. Just came off a length, spun sharply past, and good take by Pant there.
Did he actually nutmeg Lawrence? I thought.
Yeah, he did. He did nutmeg him. That was the thing. He ran down the wrong line. I mean, he was a little bit unlucky. If he'd have kept his feet slightly close together, it would have crashed into his pad. No chance of LBW. But he got himself in all sorts of trouble, really, didn't he?
Last ball the over, and Stokes just pushing that out to the offside, and that's the end of the over. And England is 76 for 4, 2 off the over.
Who's doing social?
I think I'm doing social.
You're doing social.
Sorry, but I think I've left it in a terrible state, so apologies there.
Yeah, I was going to say where you're at. So we've had a retweet from Riley Taylor. Why did Ben Stokes go onto the scoreboard? Because he was being rooted at. I think Paul Jake. Then I don't know if we've had this on the net, but Lee or Linux Lee, that Ashwin lad's a bit overrated. He never got me out for a start. me having never played him against him. Besides the point, shut up already. So I like to say that Root's been he's waited to play his sweep shot, hasn't he?
So there, the Axel Patel just ran the wicket there, and Root comes forward, nicely defended.
Yeah, so big difference is Root hasn't unfurled that sweep after sort of 4 balls. He's waited about 30 odd balls to play it.
Absolutely. And I think when I saw Axel Patel again, ran the wicket, Root just goes forward, nice forward defence about the offside. I think what I like about Root, he mixes it up. Really, he'll go and sweep very quickly. He'll go back and play deep in his crease and push the ball into a gap. And I think, a lot of the other guys maybe premeditated too much, what I see. Axel Patel around the wicket. Oh, keeps a little bit low. And Root just gets the edge there and survives.
That's the danger ball for Root, isn't it? That's what we saw in that.
Well, I mean, that's always been a danger ball for him.
Before, 2 minutes before the close yesterday.
Yeah. I think Cody's going to get himself a bit of trouble with that.
Axel Patel around the wicket again. Root goes back, lovely on the back foot, pushes it through the gap for 1, down deep square leg. It moves on to 15, and England move on to 77.
I think it's definitely one of these wickets, if you can get yourself past the first 20, 30, 40 balls of your innings, it's a lot easier to play. Kind of get a little sense of what the wicket's doing. But I mean, it's just doing masses. I mean, a lot of the balls are going to spin and turn and be missing anyway. So you got to play the line of the stumps really, and hope that it doesn't catch the edge. If it misses, you're fine.
That's it. And you're you've hit the nail on the head there. You're just so vulnerable early on. It's just trying to get through that initial period to give yourself that chance to then get adjustment adjusted to the pace of the pitch and then play an innings of some sort.
Yeah, and we're just watching the replay of Ashwin's wicket. So Axel Patel on the wicket to Stokes. He sweeps nicely down to back with square legs for a single. I generally think Ashwin's seen him come there as well. If you see the position that ball in his hand, he's definitely pushed it.
Yeah,
down the leg side. It's very clever bowling.
He's come too early, hasn't he? I mean, this is it. I think also, I don't think it's a bad way to play. I mean, me and Abby were discussing this a couple of days ago. I think, I think on a pitch that's turning like this, you can take the pitch out of it by getting to the pitch of the ball, by coming down the track out the ball. I think you've got to choose which ones you're going to do it to. Yeah,
and it's also how you come down the pitch. I think going straight at the ball's not quite the right idea. You've got to be sort of aiming to be sort of beside the ball when you do come down.
Ashwin over the wicket this time now for Stokes, and he pushes it out of the offside.
That one just went straight on for a change, didn't it?
I think that's the variation, isn't it? That's the problem when you see one spin, big past you, and suddenly the straight one there, and the straight one can be as much dangerous as the spinner. So Ashwin again, Stokes comes forward, pushes it out to second gully.
Well, it does seem to be a spot somewhere outside the right-handers off stump where it doesn't take chunks out of the pitch, which is the danger pool actually, because it just goes straight on.
Ooh, that's a good line from Ashwin there. Just pitched outside the line. There's a muted appeal from Pant, but no one else really interested. But it's an interesting
as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an interesting line with Ashwin now coming over the wicket rather than coming around. He's had enough of the sweep, I think, here, and he's going to push it across him more. And Stokes still goes. Ooh,
that's close. Ooh.
They might think about reviewing that, wouldn't they?
Yeah, clearly.
It didn't look like it was going to turn, did it? That one actually looked like it did go straight on. It
pushed through quicker. I know Virat's not
India
that interested, but he normally waits till that last second. No,
not today.
India still have 3 reviews left and don't use one.
Might as well with 4 down. Stokes. I mean, these two are the innings, aren't they? Really?
Well, that's it. I thought you just used one up. So Ashwin continues over the wicket. Stokes reverse sweeps here. Just a backward point. They probably come through from single. Yep. Decent bit of fielding. But I think Stokes has set his sights out here. He's not going to just sit there and die wandering. Well, here comes the Albert W. It pitched outside the line.
Just.
I think that was the difference, isn't it? Stokes basically started sweeping from ball 1. He hasn't sort of waited around to see. That's kind of the intent there.
That's Stokes' way, though, isn't it?
Sorry, but come back to your point about the IPL here. Do you think actually it's almost the experience England's top order in IPL cricket that actually they're trying to sweep when they maybe haven't had much cricket or in 2020 cricket and one-day cricket?
I I'm not so sure about that. I think they practice it so much now. I mean, I do remember there was an interview with I think it was Nasser Hussain.
Well, that was Ashwin just round the wicket there. Sorry, Ben. Root tried to play a bit of a paddle sweep there. No run.
And this was going back to Fletcher days, and he was saying that basically, if he was telling all the England boys, if you want to be successful, you've got to learn to sweep. And apparently, he used to have Nasser and all those guys in the nets, and basically he used to tell them to sweep whatever ball he threw down. And I think ever since then, and now. Because a lot of these tournaments are in these, the IPL's the Premier one, and it's on these kinds of wickets, and there's a hell of a lot of leg spinners, there's a hell of a lot of spinners. I mean, they're the most successful bowlers in the IPL now, and you've got to be able to play that shot. So I think they've all learned how to play it. It depends how confident you are with it, to be honest. But I mean, Root's clearly got various sweeps. They've all learned. I mean, you think when KP first did reverse sweeps and regularly, it was like woo, and now everyone does it. It's just a ubiquitous shot.
Yeah. Axel Patel here round the wicket into Stokes. Change the angle again. I think India had enough for Stokes just sweeping freely with freedom here, so they're going to restrict the angle. And Stokes is going to take it on, I believe. Here we go round the wicket again. Stokes back foot. Ooh, and they'll come down for a couple of leg byes here.
Leg byes or
ball byes, I think. Then anything on him.
Do you not?
No, I don't think he got anything on it, because if he got anything on it, it would have been glove.
Oh no! Oh, it's runs. Sorry, mate. My bad. It was a couple of runs there. It must have been a big glove or something.
Well, it's a drop catch then, I'd say.
Yeah, yeah. Ben Folkes was there. Yeah.
I thought Stokes might have shook his head there, thinking, "I'll take them."
Yeah.
I'm not going to get anything on that.
We've all done that when we know we're not out. We run down and rub the glove in front of the umpire just to give him the nod. Round the wicket again, Stokes sweeps, gets a decent connection hit, down from one down to deep back with square leg. Further comes around, it's just a single. But it's quite an interesting period of play here with these two batting. Probably the two England's premier batsmen, with nothing really to lose. I think actually we might have some entertainment here.
Yeah, we could do. Well, I think Bairstow's going to be back in the next test, isn't he? So I think they'll bring him in because he's another sweeper, and he's actually, he top scored in the IPL this year or the year before.
A couple of years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. So he'll feel quite confident after his time in Sri Lanka as well.
Around the wicket, Root goes backwards, keeps it a little bit low, but plays it late in his crease and.
Yeah, I was going to say this has been the difference between this pitch and the first Chennai pitch is that sweep hasn't been as effective because of sort of the way that the ball's gripped and sort of a bit more bounce, a bit of overspin.
Axel around the wicket again. Root goes back, just plays it into the leg side. No run.
So when England were sort of racking up 500 in that first innings, that they could sweep with abandon, it was a pretty safe shot. The bounce was very consistent on the first 2 days. There wasn't much turn, and therefore you could be a lot more confident sweeping. We've had a few dismissals through the sweep, and maybe should have had a few more with a few balls going very close to hand for both innings, both teams rather.
Axel Patel, Root just pushes it out to the offside to backward point, and no run. It'll be the end of the over. That's the end of the 31st over. England are 82 for 4.
Let's catch up with some socials then. Tom M. All the talk of there's a ball with your name on it when England are batting, and yet Rohit and Ashwin took a long bloody time to find a ball with their name on it.
Well, Ashwin, to be fair, got dropped on 28. Could have been out a couple of other times too.
And 50 odd as well, I think.
Yeah.
The Jersey Jingler, are you feeling nervous? Rooty's going to bat all day for 55 runs. He's got more blocks than a Lego factory.
I like that. I don't think he will.
And then Tony Fish is replying, technically the best ball of the morning up to this point which was admittedly not particularly advanced subject. There will be others before it officially becomes the fourth ball of the morning. I think that's a reply to Jeff Perkins. Simon Nard, get the cool beat fella on for a few overs. Why pick him when you don't use him on the spinning track?
Just missed there. Ashwin came around the wicket, pushed the ball into... and Stokes pushed the ball into cover. The fielder threw down the stumps. Not sure what they're...
No, yeah, the ball did graze the stumps because the bail fell off, but I do think he was back.
Yeah. I think he was well in his crease, but you saw the Zing bell light up, and I think as usual they always go to the review.
It's going to be closer than you think.
Yeah, Root's going to be safely home.
Closer than he'd have liked, I think.
At least he didn't drop his bat Pajara style.
Yeah, that was quite comical, wasn't it?
That was such a bizarre dismissal. You think, oh no, he's in easily, and suddenly the bat just stops. It's like, no.
Yeah, someone's blaming the pitch for that as well.
Oh really? And here comes Ashwin for the second ball of the over. Round the wicket to Stokes. Nice solid forward defence. I think the key thing here, and again, Kim, for your thoughts. Both Root and Stokes are positive in defence. And that's why I always say to people, they go back, they go forward well. Ashwin ground again, the wicket again. All that spins sharply away from Stokes there, and a good take from Pant, a bit of bounce there as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, this goes back to this whole thing about the sweep and how you do it, and how you score runs against spin on a turning pitch. I think that's why they use the sweep so much.
Yeah, Ashwin just round the wicket again. Stoke just nudge it into the leg side. Root definitely They're definitely looking for singles here. They're not just sitting back in the crease and watching time go by. And Root say laughing there to Stokes. The potential is a run out here with these two, but you never know. Ashwin again for the fifth ball, the over around the wicket. Stokes a bit of a cover, bit of drive at one, and just straight down the mid off. And Stokes and Root look like they have a thoroughly enjoyable time with a team that are 400 behind.
Well,
So nice to see them playing with a smile at least.
Yeah, I think England know that rotating the strike is the best way to put their bowler off.
Yes.
And Ashwin just finishing off the over there. Stokes goes back, defends it into the offside.
Especially when you've got a right and a left-hander, because the bowler then has to change his line every other ball. And then this is the thing, in the old days, England would have started. I mean, the last time we were here, you remember when we were backs against the wall, I think it was Chennai, when we had, what was the little
Hasib Hamid.
Yes. And that innings, I mean, England would just block, for all the best part of an afternoon for sod all runs after a lot of overs. You don't get anywhere. You've got to get somewhere. I mean, you're going to lose, but I mean, you've still got to get somewhere. Otherwise, you're always under pressure. So you've got to keep rotating the strike for that reason, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that's the way Ashwin bowls. He wants 6 balls at a batsman, doesn't he? He wants to have that basically to affect the setup. Where he can sort of push a couple of wider, drag him across the crease a little bit, drag him forward, drag him back. So yeah, I mean that's the best way to get him off is rotate that strike.
And there's a great little Axel Patel around the wicket. Root sweeps past deep square leg for 4. It's a great shot, and pretty good jinglers up there.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And that was a great example there. Root really, great stride forward, a different kind of sweep again. Really good shot. Against the spin, no deep square leg. Guy was in front from the last sweep, and great shot from Joe Root.
Ball was too short.
Yeah.
And he's got an average against lefties, isn't he?
Axel round the wicket again. Ooh, just straightens on Root. Good take by Pant. I don't think Root properly played it, but it was a decent ball.
That's like Axel reminds me of a young Ravi Shastri.
Ooh, actually, sorry. Yeah, sorry. That's actually a better ball than what you said. Actually, that was a really good delivery. So the string there was a bit buffering. Next player around the wicket again, and the edges, just the backward point. He's got a good line here, Axel Patel. I know he's, the first ball wasn't a great one, but he's really asking questions.
He's been very impressive for me.
He's been all right. I think he bowls a bit too flat, to be honest. Although on this wicket you can get away with it, but I think on other wickets, on that first wicket he would, he'd have got the same treatment as Naseem, to be honest.
I don't know. I think Nadeem was a bit too slow.
Continue around the wicket and Root sweeps to a single down to forward square leg. Brings Stoke on strike with 2 balls remaining over. England move on to 87 for 4.
I think it's always better if you can kind of. I mean, Ashwin always, bowls quite quick through the air, but he always gets dip. He always gets it up above the eye line and back down again.
I think he varies the pace, but I think Axel's sort of the Jadeja clone, and that's sort of Jadeja's method.
Yeah.
Axel around to Ben Stokes here and sweeps for 1 down deep back with square legs, and I think England are playing actually quite nicely here. I think they actually, like I say, there's some temper here. They look like they're enjoying it. They're not miserable. They're going to go out here and give it a good go, and I think it's very positive from England so far.
Well, I mean, let's face it, a lot of people, after our last effort in India, a lot of people were saying 4-0, although no one likes to say whitewashes. So, I mean, I had 3-0 to India. I was quite pessimistic. Obviously, I think India made a mistake with the first pitch. I think it was a good wicket, but obviously the Indians didn't. So we have this one. And we don't know what Ahmedabad's going to be. And we're going to be 1-1, going with 2 to go. Both sides still in the World Test Championship runnings. It's interesting stuff, really.
Yeah.
Do you think England could ask for any more? Going to Ahmedabad 1-1? Is that dreams time?
What do you mean?
Well, the series. Sorry, with the series tied 1-1, could England hope for any more coming out of these two in Chennai?
Well,
that would be a great result for England to leave here 1-1.
What you mean in the entire series?
Yeah, as the series goes on.
Well, I don't know. No, I presume there'll be. I mean, in modern day tests, you hardly ever get draws unless the weather intervenes. I don't think the pitches will be conducive to draws for 5 days, and I don't think there'll be any rain. So, what I am interested, everyone thinks there's going to be loads of swing on Ahmedabad because it's a pink ball test and it's a day-night. But I just think that with the dew, it's going to kill the swing, and it's going to be interesting. I don't think anyone knows what to expect.
I don't necessarily think it'll be the dew that kills the swing. I think the last test in Kolkata, the only pink ball test in Kolkata was there was dew around there, but 20 wickets were taken by pacers by India against Bangladesh. But I think the track might be different.
So there, Avi, Axel Patel just finished off the over there. Root just changed his bat and ran the wicket, no run, and England 88 for 4.
Is Bumrah injured, or is he being saved for that test?
He's being saved for that test.
Okay. Because if it comes down to
Shami to come back in as well, probably for Kuldeep.
I mean, if it does come down to a battle of pace, I reckon England have got slightly, they got a better pace attack. They may not be as quick.
I'm not sure they have. The Indian pace is averaging about 20 on.
Well, England haven't played there for a while. I think Jimmy and Broad are wily old characters now. They've bowled everywhere in the world. They've taken wickets everywhere in the world. And even if they're not taking wickets, they know how to dry things up. And I think I'm hoping Jofra will be back. Jofra's the X factor.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, I don't think after this test now you're going to get that sort of. It's not going to be. I can't see how it can be a seaming track, even with that pink ball.
Ashman continues over the wicket to Stokes, comes forward, plays into the offside, no run.
If India think they've found the formula here from this test match, I can't see why they wouldn't stick with it.
Well, to be honest, I think it's quite a dangerous game to play. I mean, assuming you have a pitch like this again and England win the toss and someone gets to 300. I mean, getting 300 in the first innings.
The whole point of this pitch was that the toss was taken out of it. That was the point.
Ashwin just changed around the wicket there to change the angle to Stokes, and decent delivery, and Stokes comes forward for no run.
I'm not sure that's true, Avi. I think that having won the toss and got 300 on the board, they were always going to win the game because the pitch is as it is. But I think school ball pressure on a pitch like this, if whoever bats first, if you can get 300 on a pitch like this, you're always going to put pressure on the opposition because it's doing all sorts. And if you can get a couple of early wickets, there's no guarantees Rowe would have got 160 if he'd been batting second, etc. It's a whole different game when the pressure's on and the ball's doing shitloads.
Yeah, well,
It's interesting, Ashwin here, he seems to be rotating every ball over and around the wicket. He came back over that delivery and Stoke just played it away. But back over the wicket this time, and I think Ashwin and Stokes having enjoyed this actually, the bat with themselves.
I think Stokes
he was played on with the full banger, did he?
Yeah, I think Stokes is thinking I missed out there. That should have been back in the stands.
Yeah.
And the ball he got him in the first innings was an absolute cracker, wasn't it?
Ashwin over the wicket again. Stokes defends, no run. I think Stokes is definitely looking for the ball. He's definitely looking for this there. I think if Ashwin tossed one up here, I think one of them would go.
Well, exactly. It's either going in the stands or it's taking his wicket straight up in the air.
I don't know whether he hasn't had the ball, but he hasn't wanted to come down the track to play over the top, though, has he?
And Ashwin comes round the wicket again, and a big puff of dust, and a good take by Pant, and that completes the over again. 88 for 4.
Let's do some tweets then. Riley Taylor, joke time. Why did Lawrence have to go to the toilet? Because he was bowled out rather. Simon Nag, these sweeps and reverse sweeps, risk shots on this very good on this VG, or let Root and Stokes play what they're good at.
I let them play what they're good at.
Yeah, go on, Beth.
No, I was going to say just let them play what they're good at. They're going to play that way. They back themselves.
Yeah, I think so. I think you got to play to your strengths really. And Nitin Bajaj, one of these arm balls from Patel will be a complete grubber, and Root will be caught in front. And then Lennox Lee, people complaining about various sweeps and test matches should just shut up. There might be an argument to be had if someone gets out the dill scoop in tests regularly. And for Forsyth, joining you in the intermission of the hockey, I've got to watch Vancouver lose before I listen to England lose. So, hello, Anna.
Yeah, we're going to lose. Vancouver losing, I'm sorry, Anna.
I'll keep going before the ball's filled. Angelic Scooters, morning Gorilla Cricket, only here for sporadic periods today, so are we in for an for God's sake make it end quick mode, hoping to get back to sleep, or now that you're up, do you want to do the forlorn chase to go as long as humanly possible for the lols?
Well, I don't mind if it goes the whole day today because I am up, but I don't want to come here tomorrow.
Oh, so we're going to change the bowling here. Ishant's into the attack, just over the wicket. Slightly on the pad, and Root plays it to mid-wicket.
Let's have a little jingle for Ishant. This goes like this.
Ishant Sharma's gonna get you, gonna look you right in the face. Better get yourself together, darling. Learn how to play pace. How in the world you gonna see netting against trundlers like me? Who in the hell do you think you are? A superstar?
Ishant into Joe Root there,
Well, right
just
you
again
are.
keeps a bit low and pushes it mid-wicket for no run. Bear, do you think it's surprising Ishant's into attack here rather than Kuldeep?
Yeah, I mean, an Indo called for Kuldeep, and everyone's been calling for Kuldeep, but, you know, I was quite happy with that selection. He didn't really do a lot in the first innings. I don't think he gets it through the air quick enough.
Mm-hmm.
He only got 6 overs, I'd say. This
is the point. Does Kohli have confidence in him in a Test match? I mean,
no, he does. For some reason, something's happening. He was rated. He was sort of anointed as the #1 overseas spinner after taking a fifer in Sydney in 2018, 2019, and he hasn't played since, apart from these 6 overs.
Ishant in again, pretty full to Root then, just pushes it down and well fielded with then bowling.
I think,
but surely, Abby, now if you are the third spinner in the attack and you don't get the ball now, surely there can't be a lot of confidence in the captain in you.
But that's the whole point, isn't it? That if you're anointed the #1 overseas spinner, and then to become the third spinner at home, and something. Well, what's happened in between is that his one-day form has dropped off, hasn't it, immensely? Or it did over sort of 2019, 2020, and basically that's affected his confidence, I feel. I mean, they always say the right words in the press, he's bowling well in the nets, etc. But I feel not picking. He was replaced by net bowlers in Australia. He went on that Australia tour, and net bowlers were taking his place in his team, and in his biggest injury crisis in a decade, and he still couldn't get a game. So something's up, and it was almost a begrudging pick in reaction to a loss that he was picked in this Test match.
Ishant into Root, and defence goes forward, push the ball on the offside for no run again.
Yeah, I think when Kuldeep came in, I remember when he played his first game in England, and he took a hatful of wickets. I think it was either T20s or ODIs, and then, by the time the next series had come out, it was either T20s or ODIs, whichever way around it was. England had found a way to play him. You know, he took 5 wickets for sod all in a couple of games, and then England decided, oh right, well actually, because I think it's the fact that he's a left arm leggy essentially, and everyone's a bit like, ooh, left arm leggy, what do I do? You know. But once they figured it out, and actually it's just a bit of off spin with a bit of extra to the right handers anyway, they figured out how to play him. So I'm quite happy to see him play. I don't rate him as highly as other people do.
Ishant here, running in. Just on Root's legs. Ooh, well fielded there mid-wicket. There's no run.
Good bit of reverse. I haven't seen much reverse for this Test, to be honest.
We've hardly seen any reverse this Test.
No, exactly.
And, probably one of the first times we've seen it actually sort of tailing in a little bit.
Did you think, obviously, looking after the ball with reverse swing is so important? With the ball turning like it is, do you think the fielders are working that hard on the ball here? To really to get it to reverse?
Well, I'd be surprised. I mean, we did see the ball a few times, didn't we, when the bowlers have had it in their hands and they've closed in on it. It's certainly not as knackered as it was in that first Test.
The wicket isn't scuffing it up like that.
That's the point. It's not getting scuffed up.
The seam's lasting longer. It's not as ragged.
Ashburn continues last ball of the over. Just squares we're up a slightly bit there, but yeah, pretty decent over from Ishant. No runs off the over, and England are 88 for 4.
Cool, let's do some tweets then. Mayank says, what's Haseeb Hameed up to these days? I haven't seen or heard of him since 2017.
He hasn't done a lot.
Playing second 11 cricket somewhere.
I think he finally broke back in. He's moved, hasn't he, to another county and got some runs,
left
but not a
Yorkshire,
lot.
didn't he? Farong says, down to 1,000 legal balls to go. Bet Boycott and Tavares would love to be out there. And India tweets to us, to all the remaining Rishabh Pant naysayers out there, I say to you with as much politeness as I can muster, come out of your closets and shut the fuck up. And then Krishnan Jaya said, pure genius, I think, and in replying to that, as we see, what India has put is a picture of the stumping that Rishabh Pant did, where he's sort of both feet are off the ground and he's at full stretch. And Linux Lee said, if Adelaide 2018 didn't shut them up, this won't either, I fear. Again, about Pant. And then El Chopanos told us about Haseeb Hameed. He's moved to Notts from Lancashire. Rather, it wasn't Yorkshire, it was Lancashire, wasn't he? Was that? Moved to Notts from Lancashire and seems to be on the way up again.
Run over the wicket this time to Stokes, and Stokes just pads up. He's obviously chuckling at something here, Stokesy, both him and Ashwin having a good bit of banter. But just padded up outside the leg stump and no run.
Well, Awesome Facts on YouTube wants to know what changes we'd make for the third test for England. I guess Jofra will be back in, and I imagine this is the thing. I think they're gonna risk it all, aren't they, and go Broad and Anderson for that third test. I just don't know where the two spinners fit in. I think you then got to keep Moeen in the side for batting because they'll keep Leach.
Really?
I think isn't Moeen going home now? Or was
well, that's what I
intention?
heard. Who's come on? Tone, after this over, get your screen off.
Ashwin at the wicket, comes into Stokes, plays it nicely forward, no run.
Yes, I thought Moeen was on his way
That's
back.
what I heard yesterday. I didn't realise this, but if he is, then Bess is the option unless you go with only one spinner.
Ooh. and Ashwin's just bowled over the wicket there, has hit a foothold, huge bit of bounce. There's some kind of appeal and excitement there, but nothing much from that. Great take, but Pant's keeping really well here. It's a good take, but yeah, just pitched outside the line. That's off the pad, and yeah, good take.
I still think England could have played three spinners. I don't think Broad's bold enough to justify his place, and I think they could have easily played Bess as well as Moeen Ali and Leach.
Sorry there, Ashwin's bowled the fourth ball there just to get out to the leg stump into his roots pads and no run. Well, it's a good lead for Stokes from Stokesy there. Ashwin pushed it across him slightly there, and Stokes wasn't interested. He's obviously teeing something up here, Stokes. I still think he's going to have a swing at one of these. So there's too much calm here.
Yeah.
Stokes, he's waiting for one to hit. Hopefully Ashwin will lob one up. He doesn't this time, but no, Stokes just comes forward, and yeah, it's a good battle between these two here. Always having a bit of fun at the same time. And that's the end of the over, and I think we're going to change in 88 for 4.
Well, you three. Well, Tone's come in. You're staying on. I'm out of here. I'm back for the last bit before lunch, I think. See you in a bit.
See you, Ben.
See ya.
Where did we get to on tweets, just out of interest?
We've got we just did El Chopanos, and I think we've got Gordon Anderson left to do.
Okay, who said hoping for a Stokes-Leach partnership? Oh, wait. Or an Astle 222-like innings. Okay, fair enough. That, yes, brings us up to date. Well done.
There you go. So you kind of definitely feel that this is the partnership, don't you? That India are going to want to break, and this is the one that you want to sort of bat, to have that whole session of batting for England. I mean, and also to somehow inflict a few scars on India, because I don't think there've been any scars really on them in this test. Maybe a few from that ball from Moeen to Kohli, but I think he rectified that in the second innings. But apart from that, Gill maybe, but not really too many sort of things that you could take to Ahmedabad and think, okay, they won't forget this.
Yeah, I think certainly this will be the partnership that determines how long the game lasts for. If these two aren't there at lunch, we'll be booking for our afternoon teas pretty quickly. But no, I think it's a good little battle here. I think again England just to try and get some mental scars against Ashwin, just to if Stokes can go and get a score, Root can continue that good form. And gave some Ollie Pope some time at the wicket as well to actually get a score himself. I think that ordered Ben Folkes to get a score. There's plenty of England to play for here. I don't think it's all over as much as I'm being pessimistic. There's plenty of actual individual bits here.
I think that's an important point with Ollie Pope, because I think he's sort of looked pretty decent without actually going on to actually make any sort of real score and actually impact.
Is he vulnerable in the next test, do you think? With England's make up the side, how are you going to make the side up?
I think England's problem are sort of 1, 2, and 3 at the moment, not sort of middle to lower order. Getting that balance of 1, 2, and 3 right. The way I'm looking at it as an outsider. But
Lawrence is going to have a hard look at himself, though, isn't he? For that shot, it just seemed a bit. I know probably what he was thinking. He was thinking, right, here's the hero. Let's get on top of him early. Let's see if we can unsettle him. Let's see if we can stick a balloon in his a pin in his balloon. But it just went horribly wrong.
Well, yeah, it's that first ball mentality. That was my criticism of Kohli in that first innings. Good ball from Moeen, but to have it go and that sort of big expansive cover drive, sort of before you've had a real look, and then the same with Lawrence Ashwin to come down the track and sort of trying to hit him over the infield. It's not judicious in your sort of shot selection. I think you've got to sort of respect the bowler and the pitch to a certain extent, and then once you've lined them up for a few balls, then for an over or two, then you can start playing those sort of shots and come down the wicket, getting him off his length.
True enough. Neil Franklin says, morning, happy Mardi Gras. Nitin Bajaj says, expecting a big partnership here, ball's gone soft, easier to play off the pitch.
Absolutely, and the other thing is that Root has faced 54 balls now and Stokes has faced 41, so they've given themselves a chance. That ball's gone soft now, and this is when India were putting together partnerships once both players had sort of seen 40-50 balls. The ball was past 30 odd overs, and this is where you can sort of establish yourself for bed in for a session.
Messi just says Nitin's trying out his jinxing skills. The next day says England's only hope for victory is Ollie doing his best Vishwa Fernando impersonation with Stokes as KP at the other end, and I don't mean Kevin Peterson.
Ishant Sharma is going to continue. I'll be back from the drinks break. Ball in hand as he gets to the crease. It's a little bit reverse swing there. It's an inside edge from Root, and that will trickle down to fine leg. They'll come through for a single. We saw that ball actually a bit of shape there, and there was, although slow, there was a little bit of movement as that ball sort of. I think actually this one was although reverse swing, sort of went away from the right hander slightly.
Sorry, Avi, you know more. Is it actually true that Moeen Ali is going home to rest after this Test match?
I mean, again, I don't know if it's true or not. This is what I've read, or I can't remember, someone told me that he which seemed surprising because he kind of stuck around having sort of with all the COVID stuff, and then
he hasn't played for 18 months.
Yeah, and I think he's a use. I mean, we haven't seen probably a lot of him in batting effort in the first test, but I mean, he has scored 100 here in Chennai before, and he can bat in India for sure. Ishant again coming round the wicket to Stokes, and it's a fuller ball. He's targeting the pads. It's defended on his crease by Stokes. There'll be no run there.
Where did you read that, by the way?
It might have been on the Twitter or something like that. But I'll be surprised if he goes home now. Surely.
Yeah, I don't think he was set as one of the preset departures to go after 2.
The Daily Mail actually wrote today about it.
The Daily Mail, well, there you are then.
There you are. Yeah,
Oh, a filthy ball from Ishan, straight down the leg side. It's actually taken pretty well by Rishabh Pant. Tidy work there behind the stumps, no run. So Daily Mail's also confirming it, is it? Okay.
But Bumble's column in there today was basically saying, he said, how can a guy go home after one test, to play one test, and to rest?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I don't think Moen's bowled too badly. I mean, he's bowled some bad balls, but the guy hasn't played Test cricket for 2 years, has he? So, I mean, we don't know what Ahmedabad holds. I mean, it might be a one spinner pitch, it might be a two spinners pitch, and Bess and Leach might be the first two Premier 2 now, I don't know, but I think Ali adds a lot with his batting. If theoretically at least, a fuller ball this time from Ishan, continuing around the wicket to Stokes. Stokes again doesn't really move forward or back too much and plays it from the crease, but he defends it well. No run there.
Do you think Jack Leach is to wicket keeping what Ben Folkes is that in their actual individual skill they're the best, but actually as the all-round package, i.e. the batting and etc., someone else like Joss Buttler or Moeen Ali is probably ahead of them?
I think it's a fallacy to think. I mean, I've been so impressed with Folkes, and I've been surprised that England can't find a place for him even at home. But Butler can, I know
he won't accelerate an innings like Butler does, but you've got to look at that 40 he made when everything was falling apart around him.
No, exactly. It's this whole every batsman has to change the game in the session. Next ball from Ishan to get bowled a little bit wider. Offside again, defended by Stokes. No run. This obsession with the batsman's got to be able to sort of take the game away in the session. Well, sometimes batsmen can take the game away by batting 2 sessions pretty stoically, in my opinion, and also hold together an innings, especially when you've got other players and you're sort of 50 for 4 or something, 50 for 5. You want someone probably not to go hard at it and actually sort of stick around. And he's such a good gloveman as well.
Yeah, he's probably the best gloveman in the world at the moment.
Yeah,
his work is exceptional. So.
Yeah, and India have had a similar dilemma as his final ball of Ishant's 4th over. He's coming up to the crease as Stokes moves across, defends, sort of moving forward. That's the end of the 37th over. England 89 for 4. Still about just under 400 away from the target. I think India have had a similar issue sort of pre-Pant. So you've got to remember, Pant didn't play the first test in Australia. It was Ridwan Saha, who is a fabulous gloveman as well, and especially at home, he's so good to the spinners. He's got very Folkes-like soft hands, very natural, very tidy down the leg side, doesn't give extras away. Takes catches, affects stumpings, all those sort of things. But he's not as good at bats as Pant. He's not a bad bat. He's scored hundreds. He scored gritty knocks. I remember he scored 60, 70 against Australia. He's done all sorts of good things like that. But he's not Pant in batting terms. And Wade went away to Australia. He looked like a bunny, and they brought Pant in, and the series changed. And it's similar. Maybe it's a similar sort of thing. Maybe they don't fancy Folkes in the Ashes to be able to stick around, something like that. I don't know. As Ashwin continues, he comes round the wicket to Root. So change of angle. Root flicks it through mid wicket, and he'll get through for a single there.
If Josh Buttler was here in the next test, does Folkes keep wicket and Buttler bats at 6, or do you keep Wally Pope? How do you do it? Does Buttler get back on the side if he's here?
Tony probably take that one. I'd imagine that is what will happen. He'll bat and Folkes will keep wicket. Hard to Folkes out now. Ashwin continues round the wicket to Stokes. This one's slightly shorter and it can be driven, but he won't beat the silly point. No run there.
There's other considerations you've got to place there. Besto available. I think they possibly him for Lawrence. Day-night test. I'll just hold that thought for a second.
Yes, Ashwin around the wicket continues. Again on the back foot of Stokes, he tries to sort of square drive it, won't beat the man at silly points, and no run.
And then for the day-night test, might England just be thinking about the extra seamer?
Try and get Woketon maybe even. That could be another thought. As the next one's flighted more by Ashwin onto that sort of middle leg line. Stokes pops forward, defends, no run. Yeah, so has Wokes got a chance of the game in Ahmedabad?
I think they'll have to have a look at the conditions and the wicket, but yes, in short.
The next delivery by Ashwin is flatter, sort of arrowed down to sort of on the leg stump. Stokes plays it around the corner, but it won't get a run. Tidy over so far from Ashwin. As he gets the ball in hand, his final ball, flights it a little bit more. Oh, and it's edge, inside edge onto pad. It's come out 2-first slip. That's the wicket India were looking for. England in all sorts of trouble. The big wicket of Stokes. He's gone. England 90 for 5. It's a very good over from Ashwin. A lovely final ball. The setup was there. And that is curtains, surely, for this England team.
Yeah, it's clever. It's clever from Ashwin. He's had Stokes for a couple of overs here. He's been around the wicket. He's been over the wicket, and he has clear inside edge up onto the pad, and pretty good catch from Curly again there, at the second gully. But no, I think it's well bowled from Ashwin there. He's been around the wicket. He's been over the wicket. He's teased him. He's had a little bit of banter with him, and he's won the battle.
Can we have a jingle for his dismissal there, or is that too late now?
We just did it.
Did you?
Yeah, you didn't hear it.
Don't worry, it was there. You have to look for the visual clues.
Apologies.
Yeah, that's one. There we are. You're just looking at it there.
So, we got a new batsman. He'll be hoping for an innings. As we said, he's looked good in his little patches. But especially I thought he had that very sort of nice stand with folks. So apologies again. I'll let you jingle him up. Excellent, and that was a fabulous bowling for Ashwin, and I'm really looking forward to him hopefully getting a viper in this innings. I'd love him to get to join that exclusive club of 110 wickets in a match. He's got 2 now. Every possibility he'll get 3 more.
I mean, a gang of 5 if he does that.
Yeah.
You can't imagine Kohli getting the ball off him, can you now?
No, not at all. But Ishant will continue as well. That was a pretty good change so far. Give Axar a rest. I think Ishant's bowled actually pretty well, and we have seen a little bit of reverse swing as well. Nothing sort of hoopy like it was in that first test where Anderson was knocking through people, but there is a little bit of shape here. Root is facing up, as that was the first ball of the over. Ishant over the wicket, and he's gone for that sort of Yorker length, get that reverse swing. Root digs it out, and there'll be no run there. Ishant bowling well, isn't he?
Yeah, he's gone very, very full. Like, you really try and get that board, give it as much chance you can to reverse. And I can't actually remember actually Ishant bowling anything from back or length, let alone short. So he's obviously a very clear plan from Ishant to get the ball to swing, and I think he's running in hard for his captain here.
Yeah, he definitely wants to make sure that he's playing in that Ahmedabad test. I think it's India gaining selection issues. Well, not selection issues, but options, because they've people are coming back fit, and India's seam attack is definitely better than it was sort of 5-6 years ago. Ishant again, to Root. This one's on a better sort of length. It's played out into the gully by Root. No run there.
Do you think the Indian attack selection is quite simple? You just bring a seamer in for probably Brummer in for Kuldeep, and you probably got your attack for the third test.
It depends on the pitch again, I suppose. Yeah. I'm looking at what they played in Calcutta for that other pink ball test. They played 3 seamers, 2 spinners. They played Ashwin, Jadeja, Shami, Ishant, and Yadav, I think, and this seems to all the wickets. They took all 20 wickets.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the first times that's happened in India, where spin hasn't taken a single wicket. But they still played Jadeja and Ashwin for balance. Obviously, Jadeja's not there. I think they'll probably go something similar, because Ashwin's batting has got better again. Ishan, it's a good ball just on that fifth stump line. Root sort of pokes at it, doesn't, and it beats the bat. Goes through to the keeper. No run there.
Yeah, I misled you slightly about Ashwin. That would place him in a gang of 3 currently in that 10 wickets and century. Shakib, Imran, and Botham, who I think has done it twice.
What?
The other 3, so he'd be the 4th.
Did Davidson not do it as well? I thought. I wasn't sure.
Not according to the Times this morning.
Okay. I thought in the 60s he might have.
Or indeed my article last night. I was having to reference my own article to figure it out.
And I read that. It was a good article. It was too. So do check it out, listeners. As Ishant tries to bowl a little straighter and sort of more leg sideish, Root can't get it away though, and can only play it really down the pitch to mid-on. No run there.
Farong says, time for a dad joke, Bish. I'll go first. Some people can't distinguish between etymology and entomology. They bug me in ways I can't put into words. All very good. Adelaide Barmy says, morning chaps. Great deck for making a long chase, eh? Well, it hasn't looked terrifying. I mean, it's done what you expect it to do. One wicket this morning was just daft.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, looking at for a day 4 pitch in India, this doesn't look too bad. I think it's held pretty consistently over 4 days, to be honest. I know Bear might disagree with me, but it hasn't played too badly, I don't think. As the next ball from Ishant is wide of Root. Root leaves this one well alone. No run there.
I was speaking to my good friend, a groundsman, yesterday, and he said, look, with the 2 tests being in the same venue, you've had this pitch exposed to the sun for 5 more days without having to do any real work on it. So he said you're always going to get he calls it an overcooked chocolate brownie. He said when you leave the brownie in for the oven for too long, the top bit just gets a bit crumbly and crusty. And he said ultimately that's what you've had in this pitch. There's just the top surface, it's had a bit more exposure to the sun, it's a bit more baked.
I like that analogy.
It's difficult in India. It's not an exact science anywhere, is it? Sort of pitch duration, I think. But I think in India it's difficult with the climate. And
the public. You're leaving too much grass on the wicket.
Exactly.
I've never poked a key into a brownie, though, if you'll pardon the expression.
Look at final ball of his 5th over to Root, and it's a straighter ball. It's hit him on the pad. It's a squeeze down to fine leg. Come through for a leg by. Some fielders went up for the LBW, but I think that was going down. That's the end of the 39th over. England 91 for 5. Root and Pope at the degrees. Pope still to face a ball.
Mayank says, I don't get why they brought Kuldeep into this match if they had no plans to have him bowl. He's not on an all-rounder. He's there for one job, and they haven't given him anything to try to prove himself in the squad. That's just, you could hardly say India have bowled badly. I think that's just, if he's there if they needed another option, and they haven't often needed another option. That's been the issue.
I think the thing is, this pitch is made for finger spinners, isn't it? I think this is the finger spinner's dream, where you don't need that extra sort of revs and that sort of wrist spin angles, and the finger spin's enough. And Axar's, they've wanted that left arm, right arm combination. Ashwin to Pope, a Root rather, because he took a single and he reverse sweeps really well. Square of the wicket, and it goes for one of these.
2 + 2 is on my mind. 2 + 2 is on my mind.
Yeah, and he came around the wicket there, and that was a very good shot from Root. A puff of dust, but he was watching the ball very keenly. Big stride out, and good looking shot for a reverse sweep.
To a point, the shot of the morning, for me, that's it very clearly. I think that's a brilliant example of a great reverse sweep.
Exactly that. Ashwin again continues around the wicket, and this time it's a conventional sweep from Root. Doesn't time this one at all though, and the ball just gets fielded by leg gully, and no run there.
Remind me at the end of this over, another club Ashwin is in, which is a club of 6 century makers and 5 takers against England in the same test. Quite an interesting little list.
Ashwin, his reverse sweep comes out again. He won't beat the point fielder or would-be square leg in the reverse sweep. Change of angle. No run there. So Root is sweeping every ball at the moment to Ashwin, and I think it is because of the angle around the wicket. I wouldn't be surprised to see him go over, and exactly what he's doing. He's gone over the wicket now. Maybe to counteract the sweep. Let's see what he does here. Ashwin, ball in hand, short of ball, plays it from the crease. Root, he just squirts it out into the offside. Point will pick it up, but they'll come through for a single, exposing Pope to potentially 2 balls of roughly 100. Ashwin seeing that stakes wicket again. It was a good setup for I think 4 or 5 balls he had at him during that over. And,
so of the wickets to fall this morning, that was a legitimate, fantastic delivery. Lawrence's was just silly.
And Pope's first ball, Ashwin's dragged him sort of forward, wide of off stump, but Pope defends pretty well. Ball trickles out to the offside, and no run there. Yeah, it was a genuinely good wicket and good delivery. Next ball to Pope again on that 4/5 stump line. Pope gets back onto it, and squeezes out slowly into the covers. They'll come through for a single. Pope retains strike. That's the end of the 40th over. England 97 for 5.
I'll give you very quickly that elite club of centuries and 5ers against England in the same test. First up was Jimmy Sinclair for South Africa in Cape Town in 1899. Aubrey Faulkner, also South Africa. Joe Berg in 1910. Jack Gregory for Australia, 1920 at the MCG. Vinu Mankad, the only Indian on the list, at Lord's in 1952, took 5 for 196. So Garfield Sobers at Headingley 1966, took 5 for 41 and made 174. And then, of course, Ravi Ashwin in this test, 5 for 43 and 106. So decent company indeed. Nitin Bajaj says, this rotate and rest at all cost policy by England is frankly mystifying in the extreme.
It seems so premeditated, doesn't it? I think that's the issue. Sharma bowls wide of off stump, and it's a really nice shot by Pope. Just opens the face of the bat, the ball goes through backward point, gully region, and goes for one of these.
There's not one boy for me, I must have 2 or 3, I need 4.
I really like watching Pope bat, and hope he can stick around for a little bit. I thought he was actually a little bit unlucky. He was catching that first innings by Rishabh Pant.
Do you know what I worry about Ollie Pope is I think if he generally gets a good run at 6, I remember people like Ricky Ponting started at 6, he could develop into a 3. I think the danger England are going to have here is forcing him to 3 because
too early.
Exactly, and at 6 there's too many options, and I think they'll think, I can move him up to 3, and I think that's the big danger for Ollie Pope. He needs to be able to settle in to Test cricket for another couple of years at 6, and then I think we have a hell of a player.
As Sharma continues, and solid defence from Pope, gets onto the front foot, rides the bounce, and ball trickles out. No out into the offside, no run there.
Og has an interesting point of view on wicket keeping. Says keeping isn't about actually doing a decent job behind the stump so much anymore. It's about smashing 6s and fast runs, which he's put all in capital letters with, I'm delighted to say, at least 3 exclamation marks behind them. Drop a few, let some buys through. Bah, I blame Bill Gilchrist.
I suppose for me, BJ Watling sort of he sort of can play almost all the different types of innings. And that wicket-keeper role, he can sort of dig in, and also I've seen him sort of accelerate when the team needs him, and he's pretty tidy behind the stumps as well. So I do like him as a wicket-keeper batsman. The next ball tailed in by Sharma, and again it's played with that little open face towards the end by Pope. Another really good shot. This one won't go for 4 though, as it's reined in by Gully. They'll come back 4-2 though. Good entertaining cricket here. He's certainly still bowling that very full line, trying to get Pope to play, which is probably the right thing, but Pope is definitely up for the task, as he has shown so far. Good technical bat, in my opinion.
Jersey Oak says, what's the weather forecast for Chennai? Any rain due? Nope. Sorry, move on. But it's a fair question.
I think it might have rained in August. I don't know.
Do you think with the keepers though now, like the kind of obsession they have to bat a 7? You know, I remember like Alex Stewart would open the innings and obviously get 100 and keep wicket occasionally. But because they have to bat at 7, they have to be more explosive because you're looking for that kind of player at 7. Where actually
Yeah, very true. As Ishant's next ball is only defended out on the offside again, another fuller ball, no run there. I think that's a good point. You don't really see many keeper batsmen playing higher up, do you? I suppose the only one I can really think of was when did Bairstow have a few runs when he was?
I think he maybe, but
5 maybe. I'm
yeah.
not sure.
But if you look at Ben Folkes, you would have thought the best position in the batting order isn't for him at 7. You know, you actually, if you're being true to his batting ability, he'd bat at probably 4. Now, obviously, that's not an option. But actually, at 7, you know, you've got to be explosive and bat with the tail and marshal the tail, and it's a different job. And people like Stokes are so good at it. And I think that's the half the problem these days is where these keepers are coming in and not getting the chance to play their game. They play a different game at this level of cricket.
Obviously, actually, I've just thought that Rishabh Pant has been he's been promoted up to 4 and 5 occasions. I think that's a lot to do left-hand, right-hand combinations. The next ball from Ishant is a filthy ball on leg stump, and it's probably should have been put away from Pope, but it was excellent fielding. Not often you say this by Cheteshwar Pujara at mid-wicket as he stops almost a certain 4.
I think you've been a bit harsh on him though. A couple of times this test we've seen him be quite lively in the field. Leo, by the way, added to that discussion about wicketkeepers, said you forgot the creative chirping and the jazz hands. Can't have a keeper without good jazz hands these days. I must say, Folkes adds the old Jack in the Box bounce, doesn't he, to his appeals?
And I think you were asking about Bumrah earlier, whether he was fit or not, and we're seeing on the thing him practicing his bowling today. So I think he'll definitely be playing the Ahmedabad Test. Rizwan's the other one. He's having a fabulous time of it at the moment. He's a good wicketkeeper batsman, isn't he? Really good lad. Across all formats as well. Final ball of Ishant's 6th over. It's played with again a little bit of shape there with the reverse swing. Played well by Ollie Pope. No run there though. The ball squirts out to the offside. That's the end of the 41st over. England 103 for 5.
Abhi, Nitin Bajaj is next up, and there's a few appearing on YouTube as well.
We're due a change. Gary's going to come and join us, and you're doing ball by ball, I think, aren't you, Gary?
I think I am.
And
I was going to say Rizwan, who seems to bat, I think, at 5 or 6 for Pakistan, and is certainly he's the form keeper batsman in the world at the moment. I think in all formats. Tremendous to see. I was looking at an old scorecard from New Zealand, and I was surprised to see that BJ Watling started his career as an opening bat, not as a keeper. Or he certainly wasn't in that match, and I think that shows in his ability to play those different kinds of innings at number 7. But I wanted to say to Avi, because I've got a question for you, Avi.
Oh, have you?
Yes.
I was going to say I'll let Ashwin bowl, but he's pulled out of his delivery stride.
Well, Joe Root saw someone walking behind the bowler's arm, as KP used to see when they did it at Lord's, and he was batting at the Oval. But down goes Root to sweep, and he swept very successfully in this innings. He'd only get 1 for his troubles, and he moves to 28. England are 105 for 5, or 104 for 5, I ought to say. Yes, I just how much tummy rubbing did you do for that coin to fall the right way for Virat? That's what I want to know.
Well, it had to happen at some point. Was it 10 out of 11 tosses have been going for England in India?
I think a fair point. So as Ollie Pope gets the reverse out, he's not quite as elegant as Root on the reverse, but he is an effective player of the reverse sweep, and the ball goes all the way out to point that looks like deep square leg, and he helps himself to a couple. He has 9 now. England have 106 for 5, and I think we've seen enough of Dan Lawrence getting out, haven't we?
Yeah. And I think Bear won't like this, but I'd be happy if pictures like this to lose the next 2 tosses, so we could win a few in England when we're over in the summer.
Well, karma, dare I say. Pope on 9 off 9. He's batted very positively and on quick feet. This one dribbles off the inside edge and goes to leg slip, and there is near run. England were already 6 down by the time they got to the 40th over in the first innings. They're 5 down, but really it's only 4 because one's a night watchman. So they're doing better. Some would say they couldn't do much worse. And Pope advances down the track there, but stays on the line of the stumps, which was Dan Lawrence's error. And therefore he's able just to jab the ball to point. And there is near run.
Yeah, well, with this England side, if you can get Root early, I think everyone else panics, don't they? To a degree, anyway.
A little bit of that, as Pope is sort of backing them forward, again on fast feet, and just knocks the ball into the leg side, and there's no run. We're seeing Joe Root practicing his sweep, and who would have thought it that if you practice a shot, you get better at it. As this is very full, and Pope takes the ball on the full, but doesn't time it, and the ball goes out to Ashar at mid-wicket, and they jog an easy single. Double figures for Pope at the end of the 42nd over, and we'll have some of your tweets.
We will. I think we got to listen to Bajaj's tweet, which was quite a long time ago, I think. Root's fault for taking that easy single to expose Stokes. Mia Katie rather shows us a picture of her living room watching the cricket. So hello to you, Katie. Linux Leah, Ishan absolutely needs to play in Ahmedabad. It will be his 100th test. Absolutely, I forgot about that. He is on 99 at the moment. The Gang of Four, great band by Mark, talking about the 110 wicket club. Tony, from you, Gary. If you're plagiarising yourself, you have a career as an academic ahead of you. Very, very nice. It's like, all right, here we go. So 10 kinds of people: those that understand binary and those that don't. That's a very good joke there for all mathematicians. Is Zaltzman working? Tony Bishop from behind all these obscure stats. And the Crunch has said, it may sound flippant, but you should be able to resign in cricket when you know defeat is inevitable, like in chess.
There's a new bowler, and he's turned off the pads by Pope for a very easy single. I'm sure we'll jingle him up.
He does. He sounds like this.
I thought that cruelty was science fiction until I saw him today. Now that
I may be wrong in this. I need. I hope the jingle is over. We don't quite hear it all the way on our distant commentary, as he attempted a big sweep there from Joe Root, and the umpire isn't interested. Will Virat be interested? I don't think he is. The DRS timer is going down, but Virat's more interested, I think, in conducting the crowd. Yeah, I'm not absolutely certain of this, but if we're talking about the Gang of Four, shouldn't Shubman Andy Gill be in it? As Root's on strike again, as Kuldeep bowling these wrist spinning, but as yet not spinning deliveries, just knocked into the leg side.
Good move by Cody to get him into the attack now, I think. Some magic could happen from the wrist spin all the way to dislodge Root.
The magic there beat the keeper, but it was a pretty poor ball, really. It was well down the leg side. Root just watched it go past his back, but it's been signalled a dead ball, so presumably there must have been a bit of pad on that. It looked like it just went straight through to me, but we'll see it again.
There was no pad on it at all. Possibly, actually.
Well, maybe just the merest hint of pad, but it's a dead ball, which interestingly counts as a ball, which one of cricket's strange foibles in its lexicon. Root just dabs this ball against the spin into the offside, and Rishabh Pant does the fielding. Quite why there's nobody in on the offside stopping that easy single, I don't know. But England managed to rotate the strike. They go to 109 for 5. Brings Ollie Pope on strike to face the left arm wrist spin, the Brad Hogg-like Kuldeep Yadav, and that's a hideous delivery down the leg side, and Pope doesn't really get as much of it as he ought to have, and mistimes it to long leg, and they jog an easy single. England 110 for 5.
You can see the lack of confidence there in Kuldeep, I think. So catch up a couple of tweets. Farong, and also good one, agrees with what I said. Just to clarify, Alan Davidson and 10 wickets and a century of runs in a test, so he did take it. The reason I post this is that he's the grandfather of 2 of my friends. AK Davidson, 124 runs, 11 wickets, 44 first innings. He took 5 for 135 and 6 for 87 in 1960 against the Windies in Brisbane. Was that the side test? I don't know. It might have been actually. Brian Barish, good day and good morrow, cricket friends. It's 12:30 a.m. in Philadelphia, and I don't know which is more comforting sound: the gentle sound of sleet on my window or the gentle collapse of England on my headphones. Maybe both in tandem.
Well, there'll be something very less gentle coming up soon, which will be the turn that Ashar Patel gets from this pitch. 16 overs, 3 maidens, 2 for 39 so far from Ashar Patel, who's been extremely impressive on debut. He has a slip, a gully, and a silly point. This ball takes a little bit of a leading edge, and England, they must have seen this, that they have to present the full face of the bat to the turning ball, but England have got this obsession with closing the face, and we see it there.
They didn't really close it that much.
It drops safely. It does provoke silly point to go a little more like silly mid-off, and this is punched to authentic mid-off, and there is near run.
Yeah, it was just very full on his legs, wasn't it? He didn't really close the face until after the ball had gone.
Yeah, we'll see. Ashar Patel is in again, and that's a ball at pitched leg and probably would have gone on to hit leg, but it was intercepted by the inside edge, and the man at kind of short fine leg does the fielding. It's too far to be leg slip, but certainly not a fine leg. As this beats Pope, it's a beautiful arm ball by Ashar. It went through much quicker. Rishabh Pant couldn't take it, perhaps because he thought it was going to hit the stumps. No, we did.
I'm pretty sure he tried to take it.
It wasn't an arm ball, actually. It was a spinning delivery, and it just nibbled at the off stump. It had a look at it as it went past. Pope goes on the sweep. This is aerial. There's a man there. He's going to be caught. A cow corner. That wasn't very good. Ashar Patel, as I predicted, has got a wicket. And England 110 for 6. Not very good.
That was awful.
Yeah, it was.
I think he got spooked by that ball and thought he had to go on the attack there.
Yeah, he didn't get over the top of it, did he? And I think he'd been a bit spooked by the balls before.
Yeah, he's almost scooped it. It wasn't so much a top edge, I don't think, as a kind of scoop in the air, the kind of catching practice you might give before a village match. But a bit of fun. He's gone for 12, Pope. He has ability, and he has a lot of shots, but he doesn't need to play a shot to every single ball, which seemed to be his obsession.
I think
he looks so busy at the crease. He's almost like too busy rather than calm. It's almost frenetic. It's a lot of movement and things like that. And he is a good bat from what I've seen. He's just, as you said, he's almost wanted to play too many shots. He looks almost too busy. And he's given his wicket away here, I think.
Yeah, well, I think the game is done. I think Root may well get himself at 50, but I think everyone's come out with a bit of a free mind, haven't they? So I'm just going to play my shots. It's a bit, maybe it's giving it away, but I think anyone who's seen a lot of cricket knows where this game is going, or is going.
They want to score more than they scored in the first innings, though.
Yes, well, they will do, I think.
Yeah. Although traditionally you would never score more in your second innings normally because the pitch wears. So we only got 139 in the first innings, so we're on 110. We might get there. This man's batting.
And folks, that's who I am. I could keep a 4-ringer line. The gloves are on, up to the sums. Too much better than that best so chumps. Come alive in a test match. One day or T20. But first they got to pick me. I wouldn't be a liability.
Well, Ben Foakes. It's always going to happen, that wasn't it, this time of the morning. Ben Foakes, I suspect, is England's second best player of spin in this 11. He is at number 8, but he is, as we've talked about, the keeper batsman, occupying the traditional spot of 7. But he's much better than that as subcontinental batsman, and his record shows that. So there's some hope for England here to carry the match certainly into the afternoon session, and maybe a little deep into the afternoon session, because Root looks good on this slow wicket, and he shows how slow the wicket is by just nurdling that into the leg side, jogging a single. He goes to 30 from 72, so he's been busy. England are on Nelson, 111 for 6, and we have some of your social media.
Yep, Adelaide Barmies. Folks is a keeper, but is assumed Butler is a batter who can keep. You don't get a plumber to do your tax returns. Which I think is fair enough.
Depends how easy your tax returns are, I suppose, you know.
Yes. Stephen Reverell, Richard Hadley scored 99 and took 5 for 23 versus England at Lancaster Park in 1984. England were bowled out for 82 and 93.
Ooh, yes. I think Boycott might have been captain that day. I think that was the test where, yes, I think there was some dissent amongst the ranks. If I'm thinking of the same test, it was a brilliant innings from Hadley, because I think he came in at relatively low score and then just teed off as Root goes down and he reverse sweeps it to a man who inexplicably dives over the ball, but it was just an authentic just a pick up with the long barrier. I want to ask you another question, Avi, which is one of the reasons why I'm so pleased to be commentating with you after a long while without your company, which is, as Kuldeep is in again, defended no run. I've been prevented from travelling. I had a few trips planned. Going to go to New York in November, and we had a Japan trip planned for May. I'm a little disappointed, but you're a globetrotter, so what's it been like with 12 months under the thumb of the pandemic? As Kuldeep's in again, this is defended into the leg side, no run.
But first time in my life I've not been anywhere for 12 months, but it couldn't have, you know, my wife had, we've had 2 kids in the last 2 years, so we've got 2 under 2, and it's actually couldn't happen at a better time, this pandemic, because we've been stuck at home anyway.
This is a huge slash across the line by Joe Root, who misread the length for once on his reverse sweep. There's an appeal, but there's not much interest in a DRS, I don't think. Virat's saying no, it's going away. It's going away. He's just...
Kuldeep thought it was the top spinner, I think, but I don't think it was. I think it was.
No.
Does
he have a top spinner? I was just wondering that.
He does have one, but not the most consistent ball.
And he goes back to his route, slow off the pitch, so he can just hit that down to long legs, somewhat inelegantly, it has to be said, but he helps himself to a single. Well, I had two kids under 2. Wow.
No.
Good luck with that, is all I can say.
Exactly. I can only do one session of this.
Well, per year would be my guess, but good on you. Well, congratulations on that. It's a bit easier once they get past 20, I'll tell you that, but rather like batting on this pitch.
It's actually a bit easier once they get past 10. I mean, my youngest is 10 and my oldest is 15, and the pandemic has been fine. They've just been doing their own thing at home when they're not doing their schoolwork, so it does become easier.
This is defended into the offside, and there is no run. It's even better when they're a bit older, because not only have they been fine with the pandemic, but my 2 they're quite good company these days. So we talk of this and that, and I don't get them doing a Tony Bishop and telling me to stop talking about theatre and film. But
there you go. You sure?
Just get a little dig in there, Tony. Little dig in there. But your social media.
Yep. So Matt O'Donnell said there's an Alfred Banksy link. It's Avi, Vicky, Penton, Anti Tez, Matt O'D, Raymondo, Nigel Walker the Fair. Nice one, Avi. You look like a man with purpose. So I'm not sure where that link comes from, but hello indeed. And Mark Hyperball, what's Mark saying? He's saying, I've lost my links here. Dear Eddie, if you continue on, I will catch up to where I should be.
Ashar is in, defended, no run.
Okay, so Mark, novel idea. How about your fucking top order make some frigging runs so your keeper at 7 doesn't have the pressure on them?
Well, we did that in the last test, Mog. Shut up. Just this test we didn't, There's 2 more to go.
In again. This one keeps a little low, but again, it's so slow that Root can go back, watch the ball onto the bat, help himself to a single in the open spaces of the leg side.
Oxymoronica says, I was out walking yesterday evening and saw a 3-legged fox. Interesting. And Mark, to be fair to New Zealand, they always play a side that is 89% wicket keepers.
Yes, they do.
Yeah,
I think in that match I was referring to, I think BJ Watling may have opened with Brendan McCullum, and neither of them were keeping wickets. So there you have the full set. I want to give a little shout out in a moment to a person who's in a class of people that we seldom give a shout out to. This ball is defended back to Ashar by folks, no run. Politicians.
We shouldn't give shout outs.
last night at 10 p.m, the water went off in Tooting, so I jumped on Twitter to find out what was going on, as Ashar beats the bat there with a ball that kicked and turned. It was a good take by Rashad Pant. And my MP, Dr. Rosina, was already on, saying, if you've got problems in Tooting, please let me know your postcode, DM me, and I'll coordinate responses from Thames Water. Goes back, and this ball takes a little bit of an outside edge, but goes straight onto the floor, field no run. So I DM'd her saying that we had a problem here. She got back to me and said, we'll sort it out, watch my Twitter feed for news. And an hour later came on and said, I've heard from Thames Water that it should be all right in the next half hour. This ball is defended, there is no run. And it was. So not only was that good work from my MP, but she also works as an A&E doctor at St George's. So she was fitting that in around being an MP and a doctor at St George's. Thank you very much, Dr. Rosina.
Bit of a superwoman, isn't she?
Well, she is.
Lady.
I'm very pleased. Very pleased to have her as my MP. Yes, Avi, we should do a little round here before we go to the break at lunch. When do we think this match will be done? I'll give the bear a little bit of time, but I'm going to put you on the spot, Avi.
4 wickets to go. I think this will be done probably in the first hour after lunch.
Do you want to give an over? Do you want to give an over? 46 gone?
I reckon this will be done by around 60, 65, I'd say.
This ball is defended by Root, and there is no run. Bear.
Well, I'm dead with Avi on that. I think it'll be over by an hour after tea. An hour after tea. What are you going to get? Another 3 overs in, maybe 2 overs in, 48. Yeah, maybe 56, 57 overs.
Root goes back, reverse sweeps it, and it's ludicrously dropped by Siraj, a backward square. He obviously had 65 overs in the sweep as well. Well, how do you miss that? I mean, it's not a difficult sighting ground. I mean, Siraj is a somewhat inexperienced player in first-class cricket, but Kuldeep must be a bit sick because he's waited a long time for his chance. That ball jumped off the pitch, and it just lobbed in an easy parabola to Siraj, and the ball barely hit his hands. It hit the kind of heel of his hands as he went towards the ball. I think he must have taken his eye off it. So, along with Dan Lawrence, that's the least elegant ball of the day. This ball is defended, and there is no run. I mean, that's pretty bad.
That is terrible.
No real excuses. I feel sick for Kuldeep, to be honest.
Yeah, Kuldeep must be a bit sick there. And, to nobody's surprise, the caption has got Root dropped on 32 by Siraj off Kuldeep. You bet you were. Kuldeep is in, and he goes back to Root, who lets this ball go through on the leg side. I think England are going to fall away quite quickly. So I'm going to go that England will be done by 55 overs. I think probably 8 or 9 overs here. I think one of these two gets out.
Oh, one of these two gets out, it's done, isn't it? Well,
9-10 Jack.
Well, mind you, Moen has done bugger all with a bat for years. 2 years.
A ball that seemed to sort of slightly swing there from Kuldeep, but Root punches the ball to mid-on and walks a single. And poor old Siraj is getting a real working over by the TV director here, because we're seeing that drop from 100 different angles and some reaction in the crowd. There was a middle-aged woman there suggesting that she could have caught it, I think.
He dropped one in Australia, but that was a real tough chance thing on the ground.
Yes. This ball is punched beautifully by Ben Foakes. He does everything beautifully, actually, including his own coiffure, as it goes all the way out towards the extra cover boundary, and a somewhat weary-looking Dishant Sharma chases after it, and Stokes is off the mark with 2. England are 116 for 6. There are 47 overs gone. There's probably 1 or 2 before lunch, and Kuldeep can explain to Siraj why he should have taken that catch. But in the meantime, we've got your social media.
Yeah, let's catch up with some tweets. So Dr. Dan Diper sent us a lovely sketch, as usual, an impression at the start of the 26th over of a desperate Dan Lawrence diving back to his crease, but to no avail. Neil Franklin says, I remember at school we used to be reprimanded for using too many exclamation marks. I think this was to Mog. It was a different world with exclamation marks. Kanal Pandey, I am seeing your tweets from 2 days, like the impression. fact, well, good. Stick with us and listen in, Canal Pandey. Mog, the past is a foreign country. Cats of Cricket, Brian Barish has given us a little hashtag. And Linux Lear, Megadeth jokes, me likey. Ray, I'll stop off there.
Ashar is in. There's an appeal for LBW. That's going down the leg side. The umpire agrees with me. I'm sure Virat is going to agree as well. But it is Joe Root on strike. He's saying, is it going down leg? Is it going down leg? So Virat is depending on his debutant bowler to give him the SP on that. Root picks up the ball, throws it back to the bowler. The game seems to sort of slightly stop there for a short time.
It's only Ashwin who seems to be able to convince Virat to review when it's going down the leg side.
Yes, as a beautiful ball by Ashar Patel beats the outside edge of Root, and there is no run. Exclamation marks. Mark Twain refused to use them, said it was like laughing at your own joke. But, it's never stopped me laughing at my own joke, so there you go. That's a beautiful delivery there. It should have pulled Root forward, but he went back, and because of that, he was beaten on the outside edge. But again, what Root has done well in this innings is not follow the ball, and we're seeing that previous LBW. It would have hit the sort of 0th stump, which is the stump that's next to the leg stump. There isn't the middle stump, but it didn't because it was intercepted by the pad, and of course there isn't a 0th stump, so it couldn't anyway. The long and the short of it is, it was a good non-review. Root comes forward and just smothers the spin into the offside, and it is no run. He has 33 from 88. Very much the boy standing on the burning deck for England as this ball is defended, and there is no run. So he's gone forward and back here, Root, but he's done what we talked about in the first commentary session, which is be decisive in his footwork, not get caught halfway. And indeed, he's watched the ball as Ashar comes in. That's an attempted sweep from Root. There's an appeal from Rishabh Pant from behind the stumps and from first slip from Ajinkya Rahane, but neither were that interested. It's the end of the over. England 116 for 6.
Linux Lee, angry again, seems appropriate for either Stokes or Kohli. And he says, just don't use anything newer than euthanasia at Mog. And Mayank says, whoever said they were planning to go to New York, don't. It's a shithole. Come visit Philadelphia instead. 100 times better. Philadelphia is a lovely city, actually. Lots of.
Well, I'd love to go to Philadelphia, once the largest city in the USA, of course, and run up the rocky steps. Although I might walk and stop a couple of times before I got to the top. But I want to go to the Museum of Modern Art in New York. See, I want to go to the MoMA. Left arm over the wicket is Kuldeep, who's not getting the spin of either of the finger spinners, which surprises me a little bit. And Ben Folkes just pushes it into the leg side, and there is no run.
I mean, this is the thing about Kuldeep, isn't it? His lengths are inconsistent.
But you expect that, but you also expect the wrist spinner to get more lateral movement, and I don't think he has. He's in again now and tosses this one up, and Folkes very comfortably comes forward, waits for it, and then just pushes it to the man at silly mid-on. Short mid-wicket, to call it what you will. 30 overs will be bowled in this session, which just shows that they can do it when they want to do it. And he's in again, and this is lofted in the air and caught. So Ben Folkes also had 55 overs in the sweep, and Kuldeep is lifted by his captain, or it wasn't his captain, I'm not quite sure who it was there, but he's absolutely delighted to get that wicket, and why not? Ben Folkes has gone for 2, and he's getting a bit of tummy rubbing, I think, there going on, albeit more on the head there for
What's
Kuldeep,
your thing about
because he
tummy
waited
rubbing?
a long time for that, and now he's got it.
He started the bowl a little better, having had a couple of overs, hasn't he? Actually, his length's a lot better. And after I took it.
Yeah, very much off the toe end of the bat, so I suspect Ben Folkes may have been slightly beaten in the flight there. But that'll end the session. I think things went pretty much as we expected. Joe Root has batted well. Everybody else has batted not well.
Yeah, this is always going to happen. I'll be glad to get back into bed by 7 o'clock, so that's good news.
Let's catch up with some tweets then before this session finishes and sort of wrap those up as well. Mayor, as an England fan, I've listened and watched many, certain air of inevitability about today. Given Rohit, Hawkster says, given Rohit scored 161, England just need under 50, or they will have been outscored by one batsman in both of their full innings. Listen, Bajaj, any time anyone says Thames Water, I'm reminded of Hugh Laurie's song Mystery. And Farong hit the heel of his hands about that Siraj drop. Sorry to pedant. You, Gary, obviously. And also, Nixon says, I have a feeling England will take this into tomorrow.
Good luck with that one. Unless something miraculous happens, which we talked about at the beginning of the session. England 116 for 7. It's time for lunch.
Yeah, just to wrap up the session, 29.3 overs were bowled. England seemed to play a shot of almost every ball, but still only scored 63 runs for the loss of 4 wickets. We lost Lawrence for 26, hilariously bowled through the legs and then stumped. Stokes for 8, unconvincing. 12 from Pope, who was busy but just didn't have enough technique. And then Ben Foakes, who came in, looked good for the short time he was there, but out for 2. There will be Moeen, Broad and Stone to come, and a few shots from Joe Root, but this will be over quite soon once we're back.
It will indeed. That's it for you today, Avi. I presume that's it for the test, because you won't be needed tomorrow. But are you coming back for Ahmedabad?
I'd like to see you all in Ahmedabad. Again, it will be these morning sessions. So
excellent. Well,
it'll make you guys wake up early at least.
We look forward to it.
Well, we don't actually, because the first test is
a day night one.
We don't have to get up so early. It's a 9 o'clock start. It's lovely.
Then I'll have to see what times I can do. Well, otherwise you'll have my kids on my knee also presenting.
That might be quite entertaining. I mean, this is it. So we've only got, after this day, we've only got one more nighttime test, and that's it for the season. So we've managed it, which is good. At lunch, we're going to go. I'm going to play an interview from a long time ago. Last summer, we had Devon Malcolm on the show, and he was talking with David and Hendo, and we're going to give you a bit of that over lunch, and we'll see you in 40 minutes. Bye.
Bye-bye.
It's a pleasure to have in the house Devon Malcolm. I mean, normally you'd have to be in one of the hospitality boxes and have to pay a lot of money to listen to Devon Malcolm, but one of the casualties of the whole biosecure thing has been the whole sort of corporate hospitality. Devon, you're an ambassador for English Cricket Board, aren't you? And you do a lot of work at these games. So you've got a bit of time on your hands, and it's Guerrilla Cricket's gain. Welcome along.
Thank you indeed. With the lockdown, you managed to get a bit of access to me right now. So in the normal times, what would happen, as you said, I do quite a lot at the test matches for the PCA, the Professional Cricket Association, via the ECB. So we normally entertain guests, say lunchtime, and even during the game, where you call the 12-man hub, or we normally do the boxes and talking about, probably the session and entertain our punters, right through the day, and get them a bit closer. I mean, the spectators get a bit closer to us, who, when we're doing our thing on the field, they didn't have that much access. So we're a lot more closer to the fans, and a bit more accessible, put it that way.
Well, welcome to Guerrilla Cricket. As I say, it's our gain, and all those punters lost. And so, Devon, you're used to entertaining people at lunchtime. You'd be amazed at a number of our team who claim to have played against you. I've actually played with you in the Bunbury's team, but you won't remember my spell. But you might remember Hendo, a.k.a. Nigel Henderson of the Times, because he's definitely played against you, haven't you, Hendo?
Yeah, I kind of avoided 3 balls that Devon bowled at me. I think he was playing for Sheffield at the time. I was playing for York, and I don't know. I'm pretty sure he won't remember me, but he might remember. Do you remember a player called Simon Kippax, son of Peter Kippax?
Of course, son of Kippax. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
yes.
That's right. Well, I was batting with him towards the end of the game, and this would have been 1986. And I managed to watch you mainly from the non-strikers end. That was probably the best place to be. But I do remember Simon Kippex, who was a bit of a fiery character, running down the wicket to you in the final over of our innings. I mean, did you often have people running down the wicket in club cricket?
No, not really. But I mean, probably was towards the end of that over, and you were at the non-strikers end, so you can live to tell the tale. But way back in those early days in the Yorkshire League, as you said, I was playing for Sheffield United. Then, I was pretty quick, very erratic, so you could get a bouncer, you could get a beamer, anything. So it was rather silly running down to the pitch to me, actually, because pretty brave, pretty foolhardy. But generally, like most cricket, when I get it right, whether in the Yorkshire League or all the way to international, I normally sort a few batsmen out. But in that case, it was rather it was rather brave to to do that in those early stages of my career. Yeah.
Well, it was the sort of stupidity of youth in his case, I think.
Yeah, because Devon, you're not one of the Chris Jordans who came over on a cricket scholarship. You emigrated at 16 and had to work your way through playing for Yorkshire schools, right? You came here from Jamaica at the age of 16. Is that right?
Yes, as I said, as you said, actually, my dad was, just after Greenwash, early 60s. So I joined him later on, as a 16-year-old here, as a student, and we lived in Sheffield. So, I didn't even play any cricket for a couple of years, while I was in Sheffield. I normally run around with my mates on the street playing football. And one weekend, one of my mates dragged me and said, look, the West Indies were touring actually in the early 80s. And he said, I bet you can play cricket. I said, matter of fact, I used to play when I was in Jamaica. So he took me off to, he dragged me off to a place called Shire Green in Sheffield to have a ball at a couple of the guys there, these big men. And I had them jumping around for their life. And they asked me, who do I play for? And he said, my mate doesn't play cricket, sir. He hasn't played for a few years. And he said, you must be joking. And it just happened very quickly from then. As I said, I was at Richmond College. I was doing okay. I got a cricket club in the league, doing all right. And I got hooked up from there to playing senior school cricket. And, I played in York in the early 80s, I reckon it was 81.
You had to
Metcalf and all those guys.
But you had to leave Yorkshire to get a game in professional cricket, because Yorkshire had a policy of only playing people born in Yorkshire.
Indeed, that's exactly how it was then, way back then. You couldn't play for Yorkshire. And I said I play Yorkshire Senior School, and he actually advised me, said, look, in the early days, you've got some pace, you've got some potential, but the rule is that you haven't been born in Yorkshire. Even Michael Vaughan later on, he wouldn't be able to play for Yorkshire because born in Lancashire. So I was told, look, probably have to look somewhere else to play. Probably that's the highest level I could represent Yorkshire. That was senior school. So an incident happened where I managed to played in the Yorkshire League. I was selected in 1984 in a Yorkshire League Select 11 versus Yorkshire County Cricket Club at a place called Castleford. And so as you said, I was at college, so I nicked the Friday off college, went to Castleford to play. Opened the batting was Martin Moxon and Jeff Boycott. And it was just one of those things. You're at the right place. Talent is one thing, but you got to be at the right place at the right time. Running, as I said, it was early March in 1984. Running to bowl my first over at Martin Moxon. I clean bowling with the Yorker. His middle peg out of the ground. My second over, same fate happened to a guy called Mr. Jeff Boycott. I clean bowled him as well with the Yorker, knocked his stump out of the ground. And for the first time in the league history, actually, Yorkshire League actually beat Yorkshire County Cricket Club in 1984. Thanks to me, I took 3 wickets and we beat Yorkshire. And it happened very quickly. Had a big write-up in the Yorkshire Post then. The headline was York's been Devon Cream. So the coach at Derbyshire side invited me to Derby on the Monday for a trial. He came down to Bartree Road, we were practicing on Saturday. Invited me on the Monday to Derby for a trial. I told him no, I could not because I'm at college. I said my dad would kill me if he found out that I need 2 days of college to play cricket. So he insisted I should pop down. Went down, and and they offered me a contract there and then, you know. And so, you know, you talk about talent, but you got to be at the right place at the right time. But, you know, getting the right person out as well. And the moral of the story is, even now, if you see Jeff Boycott and you possibly want a response from Boyks, you know, just mention the word Devin Malcolm, and I promise you, he'll probably give you the response to say, look, if it wasn't for his wicket way back in 1984, nobody would have heard of Devin Malcolm. You know, that's how great a batsman Jeff Boycott was. So, you know, at the right place at the right time, got a great batsman out in Jeff Boycott, and I was a professional 2 days later. Wow. And history really. So, you know, it was one of those lucky breaks in a way. Apart from the talent, I've never been in any academies or anything like that. So I reckon starting my international career, my first class career, have a massive bearing on Mr. Jeff Boycott. You know,
well, the credit shouldn't go. The credit Boycott will take the credit, but the credit should go to that Derbyshire coach that signed you up straight away and got you in. Who was that? Was that Phil Russell? Who was that?
Phil Russell. Yeah, it was Phil Russell. Phil Russell was the one that said, "Boy, you've got some face. You haven't got a clue where it's going at the moment." But as I said, I was pretty young. But he said, "You know what? If you can get 3 or 4 balls where you want it, you're going to play international cricket." I said, "Really, sir?" And he said, "Oh yeah." He said, "You've got something special. You've got face of fire." You know, so I worked on it. He saw the seed way back in 1984. And, you know, I went on and ended up taking over 1,000 first-class wickets. So when I first started, not a lot of people would even expect me to do that. But, you know, it was a learning process, and I love the game, you know.
Did you complete your studies at Richmond College?
I went to Richmond College, yes. I did well at Richmond College. Next I went to Derby, obviously, when I signed up at Derby. Next I went to Kedleston Road. You didn't know Derby University, but it was a further education college then. I went on there, did business administration there, and they've got university status. But I must admit, I ended up there as well. Later on, when my England career started flourishing, I was awarded a honorary degree. You know, from the college as well, from Derby University as well. But yeah, it's been fantastic. Yeah,
Dr. Malcolm. So that Derbyshire team, Dr. Malcolm, Dr. Devon. So that Derbyshire team you played in, if I remember right, had a lot of good quick bowlers in it, didn't it? Just talk us through some of your contemporaries in that Derbyshire side.
Oh dear, and you know what? You mentioned, I mentioned how I started in first class cricket. One of my schoolboy heroes, when I got in the side in 1984, was Michael Holding, was the overseas player there, and he had a bit of a knee problem. So Derbyshire saw it and then said, okay, at that stage I wasn't going to be signing an overseas player because, as you know, I was born in Jamaica, so I was classed as an overseas player then, although we're living in Sheffield. Came over as a student.
It took you longer to qualify than Jofra Archer, I believe.
Oh yeah, long time, about 10 years. Long time. It wasn't like no. So you know, Michael Holden was there, so I joined up with Michael in 1980. The following year, 85, Michael, and he was such a great teacher. He wasn't one of those guys who probably drag you to the nets and tell you to change this, do that. But his experience, he just watch you bowl, and obviously with the Jamaican background as well. You know, even with Michael Holding see me bowling and he spotted something, he don't have to say a word. He just hiss his teeth, and I know exactly what he's on about. You understand? So we understand the language, and he helped me tremendously in fast-tracking me up to first-class cricket and very quickly into international cricket. Yeah, and you got guys like I said, Derbyshire had a battery of fast bowlers, actually. You know, later on had Ian Bishop, the young fast Ian Bishop from the West Indies. He joined there. You had guys like Will Mortensen. He was, you know, Big Dane. You didn't realize that. He was a fantastic line and length bowler. You know, you just couldn't get him away. But the way cricket moves on these days, I'm thinking, would all be able to bowl those immaculate line and lengths that he used to bowl then in these one-day games nowadays, because these guys will be charging him and slog sweeping and all that business. But yeah, you know, we had some seriously quick bowlers at Derbyshire then to choose from. Yeah,
that was quite a team. And now Hendo will know a lot more about your international career, but obviously you had five wicket hauls, 128 wickets in 40 test matches, and I have a feeling from your email address that I know what the highlight is going to be.
Yes, you know what? We're talking
9-4-57. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, you're right. You got that. Yeah. Yes. Right. Yeah. But I mean, you know, Yeah, that's what it is. When you talk about Test cricket, I made my debut against Australia, the mighty Australians, in 1989 at Trent Bridge. I don't want to tell you what my test bowling, my maiden test average was, what it was, but it was quite an introduction to international cricket. You understand? But it took me my third new ball before I got my first wicket in Test cricket. But I had a good scalp in Stephen Waugh, and that was the start. I thought, okay, way back then in the 90s, how fickle the selectors were.
Yeah.
But I was lucky. There was a tour leading up in 1989-90 to the Caribbean, and obviously I was selected for that. So I had a good tour in the Caribbean. Back to Jamaica for the first time since I left as a youth. Actually, the first test match was at Savannah Park in Kingston. And you remember I mentioned a while ago who actually launched my first class career. But if anything, as I said, I went to the Caribbean with not a lot of wickets, being smacked around the park by the Australian, my first test match there back in Jamaica, back to the land of my birth, as I said, I managed to get the great Viv Richards out in the first innings. I had him out LBW. And not only that, the start of the test match, I remember the West Indies batted first, and they had a brilliant start actually. And I managed to run Gordon Greenidge out. And that started the kind of collapse for West Indies. And following from that, I clean ball. I said no. I had Viv Richards out LBW in the first innings. A matter of fact, the umpire who gave him out LB, I don't believe he ever umpired since. Nobody saw him. They were so upset. And the second innings, I had Viv Richards out as well. I yorked him in the second innings, which set up a great platform, and we actually won that test match in Jamaica. I reckon that was the first test match in Jamaica in about 35 years, could be actually, if I'm not wrong.
Because yes. I was going to say, your contests with Viv are quite famous, aren't they? This must be one of your lunchtime anecdotes. It's got to be.
Yes, so I mean that was quite a battle, and as I said, getting Viv Richards out both innings in Jamaica, that actually really put me a big launching pad to my international career. So obviously Viv Richards was getting towards three-quarter end of his career. He was still a fierce batsman, very proud guy, still didn't wear a helmet, and he will take you on, you see. But we had a great battle, and that series went very well for me in the Caribbean, and obviously coming back and obviously I was very fit and all that business, but as I said, in the 90s the selectors were very fitter in a way. So 1 minute you're in, 1 minute you're out. It's not like now where you see these guys getting out there being rotated and they've got central contracts, they're just concentrated on playing for England. It wasn't like that in my days, in our days, you understand. You don't know, because I mean when I played, your county used to own you, not the England side. So the England selectors, they give you an invitation if you want to play for England, if you say yes. And that's it. So the selectors weren't very, consistent. So regarding confidence-wise playing for England, you were all over the place. 1 minute you're in, 1 minute you're out. So it was very difficult. But,
not helped by some of the team management. Ray Illingworth in particular is famous for getting your name wrong and not encouraging you or supporting you.
No. Regarding the name wrong, actually, it was when I was first selected for my debut. It was Ted Dexter, but he's a wonderful man.
Ted,
it was one of those things. He called me Malcolm Devon instead of Devon Malcolm. But as I said, he's absolutely Lord Ted, fantastic guy. I love Lord Ted for this. But it's one of those things. Again, say way back in the 80s, 90s. Chairman of selectors and all those guys, it was just a voluntary role. It's not like now a payroll. So these guys get in there and somebody give them a team and they're gonna announce stuff. So I don't believe he was 100% know who I was in a way. I like nowadays selectors, they do travel around, they meet players, they see players play, but it was just collectively, because it wasn't a professional job.
But Devon, how about Ray Illingworth? Did Ray Illingworth give you enough support and encouragement?
Never. He was, that's something I just don't want to get too deep into. He was Very, very old school, and the coach they had on board were very, very old school. And what I say as a coach and as a coaching team is bowling coach, batting coach, really. I reckon they disarmed me as a player and also disarmed my captain, Michael Appleton, then, in a way, because, I mean, the disrespect and, you know, a lot of things they normally talk about how they used to do things in their days, and that was just decades and decades ago. Things have moved on so far ahead. So these guys were miles out of their depth, really. So that was always going to cause a bit of problem, you know, with the way they speak to players, and you know, they were just so miles behind. So it was always going to cause a bit of problem. Their management skill, those type of skill, and you know, not getting players or captains or people involved. They just wanted to dictate. It was never going to work. So you know, but it's just the way his management skill was, you know, as I said, not very good. You know, not only from myself, you hear that from right across the board. You know, but we had some. It's been well documented. You know, we had some terrible times, especially in my first tour to South Africa. You know, after my great performance in 1994. But as I said, it's best to talk about positive things than the lowest point in my international cricket career, so to speak. You understand? So, yeah.
No, indeed. I mean, it's yeah. You studied management. You studied management at Richmond College. You know, and now you're the doctor of management, so you know all about Ray Illingworth's management failings. That's for sure.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was very, very difficult, man. As I said, that tour in South Africa, even you know, on the tour, I've seen certain incident that happened during his term as management. You understand that? I thought, look, a manager would have a broader view of doing things or saying things, you know. The situation where captain make decisions and stuff like that will have a negative effect on team. I even take it way back, you know, when we toured Australia, when Michael Atherton declared on Graham Hick on 90 odd runs, and I thought that was one of the lowest points.
Yeah.
Almost like I was disarmed. I was so fired up to bowl Australia out, you know. But I look and it keeps saying management is there, you know. Arthur's probably clap and give the final signal to call the teams in. But I keep saying management actually encouraged that, and I keep saying, why on earth would you do that? You know, Graham Hick, one of the most pleasant-mannered guy I ever come across, and I keep saying, I went out to bowl. You know, I was so fired up because at that stage I keep saying, you know what, Graham Thorpe almost get to his 50. Graham Hick 100% got to get his 100. Let Graham Thorpe get a 50 as well. We just need a little bit of morale boost on the team. And I was going to bowl Australia out. And I tell you what, I went out for that session. I don't believe we took a wicket because it felt like midnight when I went out. I mean, psychologically, I was drained. I just could not work out what on earth, why would we...
What did Athers say to you when you said to Athers, why did you call Graham Hick in on 99? Why did you do that? What did Athers say?
Well, to be honest, I didn't say that. I swore at the big of your arm. So people even reckon I'm the most mild-mannered man. I actually swore when I saw that. I keep saying, what? And I went in the changing room. Graham, he came off the field, and you know what? He was just somewhere else. And so was I. I mean, in my mind, you know, I had to look on the replays, whatever, to realize it was bright and sunny, because it just it felt as if it was midnight when I was running to bowl. I couldn't see a thing. And it was just crazy. I keep saying, wow, this is weird, you know.
Well,
we had massive advantage to beat Australia, and we just gave it back to them straight away. They were laughing at us. I keep saying, that's the poorest bit of management I've ever seen. And young Michael Atherton clapped for the guys in, but I keep saying, that's not right at all. This is just great, you know. But that's the type of management, you know. I said, as a manager, it didn't work for us, you know. So, and as I said, you know, you talk about a captain, but when you have your management in the background saying things close by and all that business, or the team come first and various different things, and you know, it put an influence in, and you make captain or people make the wrong decision. So
absolutely. You know. Well, he was called Captain Grumpy, Mike Atherton, of course. Anyway, let's take you back to the high point at the Oval, because it is it's one of the big sporting moments of the last century. In cricketing terms, it's got to be one of the most astonishing bowling performances by an English bowler. 9 for 57 against South Africa at the Oval, 1994. Devon, I mean, what a day that must have been. You must have been. How did it feel to be bowling like that day?
Look, I tell you what, it was one of those fantastic days. But it was one of those things as well. It was a split match series. 3 test matches against New Zealand, 3 against South Africa. I was left out after the first game against New Zealand. Next to South Africa came the first time South Africa playing cricket back in this country since the apartheid days. South Africa won the first test match by a huge margin at Lords. The second test match at Leeds was drawn. So psychologically, I was preparing in my mind, said, look, chances are they're going to be calling me up for the final test match. So all of a sudden I heard the call, okay, we need a match winner, bring Devon Malcolm back. So I was well prepared in my mind leading up to that. But, I just push it on a little bit. I bowled pretty quickly in the first innings, took 1 wicket. But an incident that happened, I was bowling pretty quickly. John T. Rhodes misread a ball, didn't watch the ball. He cracked him at the side of his head, ended up in hospital overnight. But when I came out to bat, my first innings, an incident happened. I could hear all the South African players, in the slips cordon, saying to Fani de Villiers, the bowler, look, give him a bouncer. He hit one of our boys. And I said to myself, okay, this is the biggest bluff I can hear in my life. There was this unwritten rule between fellow fast bowlers. You don't bowl the fellow fast bowler, a bouncer first ball. So I'm there waiting there. Everybody know I'm not the best batsman in the world, although I hit some of the best batters for 4 and 6, from Malcolm Marshall, Shane Warne, Ambrose Walsh, you name it. So don't worry, take too much mickey out of my batting. I'm not so bad, I took my batting very seriously. But back onto the story. back onto the story, and I'm there waiting for this Yorker. Fani de Villiers ran up, and before I moved, he bowled me the perfect bouncer, hit me right between the eyes, hit the 3 lions, and I wasn't very happy at all. And I could see quite a few other guys in the slips card and kind of looking away, giving a little bit of, a little bit of giggle. And I just turned around and said, guys, he shouldn't have done that. I said, he shouldn't have done that at all. I said, boys, if you really want to see what fast bowling is about, wait till you guys come out to bat. Again, I said, all you guys are history. And you know what? You make these bold statements at times, but if ever I wanted to send a signal to those boys that, look, what I said, mate, is what I meant. That very first ball of the second innings, I bowled to Kirsten. If ever I wanted the ball to pitch at the right place, with the right pace, Kirsten just managed to get his head out of the way when the ball absolutely thuds in Steve Rhodes' glove, and the crowd went up. I was bowling from the pavilion end, and I looked up. I could see all the South African boys run to the changing room. They were having a look to see what the crowd was cheering about like that. And I just shouted, I said, boys, you better pad up. You're going to be out here in a hurry, And my first spell, I probably took 3 for none or something like that. But it was one of those things, my teammates were just unbelievable, They just gave me the power. The crowd was absolutely fantastic. And you know what? I mentioned about the crowd as well. You know what? I could only hear the crowd's voice, the noise the crowd was making at the end of my over. Turn running into bowl at the batsman. It was total silence. I could not believe it. Watching the highlights afterwards, I realized that every step I made running into bowl, the cheer from the crowd was getting louder and louder. That's how focused I was. So what I would say, if there was a point where they said you're in the zone, I must have been in the zone that game, because I was just above the noise. I just could not hear a thing. All I could see is the batsman at the other end. And as I said, every spell after, got me back onto ball, I was just taking wickets after wickets. And, it's one of those days as well, that's not the quickest I've bowled, but that's obviously with the 9 wickets that, the most successful, because all the catches were taken and, things just went my way as well, apart from being hostile. And also the wickets I took, everything happened nicely because I really softened the batsman up before You know,
Devon, how did you feel? How did you feel at the end of that day? You've just taken 9 for 57, best figures by an English bowler since Laker. How did you feel at the end of that day?
You know what? I mean, it really starts sinking in when, at the end of that, when I took the 9 wickets, after the captain ran over to me and slapped me on the bum and said, "Well done, Dev. You realize what you realize what you've just done." And I said, "Skipper, would you believe it? I tried to bowl like that all the while." And he said, he said to me, "Look, possibly as long as I play cricket, I won't see another person dominate the game as much as you did then." And I said to him, "Skipper, you know, I've had a very good game in 1990 against the West Indies in 1990 at Trinidad, where I took 11 wickets. Probably that was my best maths analysis in a test match. Yeah, I took 11 wickets in the game, but we didn't win that game. That's when the rain came and and Desmond Haynes scored the
time wasting, the famous time wasting test,
yeah. And I said to Athers, I said, look, the only way it's gonna mean a lot to me, you guys get out there, knock these runs off, and let's win this game, win and draw the series 1-1. And you know, once it started sinking in, when it got out there, knocked the runs off, we won the game, drew the series. I was man of the match, man of the series, just played one game, and next it started sinking in. And I keep saying, wow, you know, that's it. If I've gone and take 957 and did not win the game, or South Africa bowled us out, it wouldn't worth a thing, man. You know, but you know, winning the game, draw the series, and the adulation that follows was amazing, because all of a sudden you're getting called from the president, and you're getting called. All the newspapers headlines was my performance, and it was a memory maker. And will you believe, I've had so many contacts from all over the world, where a lot of sons from New Zealand right across been called Devon. They've been named after me, mainly because at that particular stage, you know what happened? Either the wife were in labor and all that business, and they keep running off, coming back. Oh, he took another. When his wife's in labor, rather than helping, they're running off, trying to scream to watch the cricket. So I know 1994, September 1994, on that day, there's a lot of boys all around the world being called Devon. I must have had at least 10 letters. I mean, a few years ago, one came in from New Zealand to meet me. I keep saying, wow, I've been sending out birthday cards and all sorts. Dad's been saying, look, my son's named Devon after your performance against South Africa in 1994.
Wow.
So it's been a massive memory maker, mate. And
it'll stay. It'll always will be. It's going to stay the test of time. It's one of those records that will stand for the test of time. Devon, bringing the story up to date, do you think there's going to be a lot of kids called Cornwall now after this test match? Do you think there'll be a lot of newborns called Cornwall?
I tell you what, he's a big boy. He's a big guy, but you know what? He can bowl. You know, and I don't believe the way cricket or sport is run these days, you know, not a lot of people would put him in his team, but he's got the talent. That's the way Cornwall is built. You know, you can tell the boy can bowl, and I reckon he can bat as well. And, you know, he's a good fielder. So we must not discriminate, you know. Generally, when you're talking about a professional sports person, they have to look a certain way and all that business. But, you know, we got to give people a chance. And, you know, all he can do is, you know, he's on the platform, show that he can bowl, he can play cricket. And I don't believe it's not for the want of, you know, working on his diet or working on various different things, because, you know, there's people there we're trying to help him work on his size, whatever. But in sense of, people probably call it people Cornwall, I don't know, you know, but at the end of the day, it's one of those things. It's probably nice to see. There's a lot of people out there who said, okay, all right, you know, you probably don't look like you're a professional sports person, but you can do the business. So we must not discriminate, you know.
Well, it's good to see Devon and Cornwall given the credit they deserve on the cricketing stage. Now, I've got to ask you, Devon, with the Jofra Archer situation, I'd love to get your perspective on Jofra Archer, because the England management have really tried to look after him, and you famously were you were often criticised, I think, by one or two people for not being, you know, sufficiently committed. You know, you came from coming from Jamaica. You were accused by one article in Wisden magazine of not being sufficiently committed to the England team. You know, in the light of the changes in society since then, do you reflect on the Jofra Archer situation and see any parallels there?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, that's why when you mentioned about the article in Wisdom years back, and I had to take them to court,
yes,
to High Court, to put that right, because I keep saying, "Wow, you check my record," and the thing about it, was particularly pointing on the Afro-Caribbean black guys, because at the time as well, there was guys that was from South Africa who actually came over to play cricket. I didn't come here. I got the chance. I took it with both hands. I set it up. I've been given my chance by England. I wanted to play for England, and that's where I give my thing. But if you even look at my figures, I look at the figures right through all my best performance with the leading up games against England. So there's no, there's absolutely no question in how much I'll give.
It was racism was behind that, wasn't it?
A guy called Henderson, I believe it was. The editor of the magazine was
David Frith.
David Frith from Australian guy. Yeah. But I had to take the report mainly because, again, I said, look, I've got kids born in this country. This is where they live, and if I do not take this report and let it go, who to tell in the future I won't have a son who want to play cricket and or play sports. I want to do things for England. And at the time I had 3 daughters. They go on and do very well academically. One's a pharmacist, one a pediatrician, one a journalist, and all that business. But as it happened, I have a young son at the moment who shows some potential of playing cricket. And I wouldn't want later on he look in an article and said, look, the dad will accuse him of not trying. But it was great to see. I took them to the High Court, and the court, the paper admits, and we got things resolved and moved on. But back to the Jofra case at the moment. You see, Jofra got out there, he bowled very well. It's tough, bowling quick, day after day. And, Jofra again, obviously, he spent a lot more time in Barbados, where a bit warm. You see how lethally well he bowled against the Australian. And, he had them in all sort of trouble. He got a bit colder. And again, as a fast bowler, I must admit, earlier on, Jofra is used to bowling, mainly playing white ball cricket. And when you're going out there and play a game, we're going to bowl maximum 4 overs, you can give it all. You probably have 2 spells or whatever, not a problem. But when you're going out there bowling 30 or 40 overs in a test match, as a fast bowler, you don't care how smooth you are, it takes a lot out of you. So when they see Jofra getting out there bowling and not bowling at 96 miles an hour every ball, it can't be done. The next they said, okay, he's not trying hard enough and all that business.
So do you see any parallels there in the way that he's been criticised with the way that you were criticised in terms of motivation?
Indeed. We're all human, you understand? It's nothing to do with, okay, I'm not charging him mainly because I don't want to for England. He doesn't care. You've got to work with your body. And I said the guy could be tired, and I said he bowled some very long spells. There's never in my life, I played for how many years, and I've never ever bowled spells where in one innings I bowled 30 or 40 overs. I'll probably get up to pretty near 30, but next you really start feeling it. And that guy bowled some heavy heat. And another thing again, he just been co-opted into the team just for the World Cup and pushed on. And one of the most frightening things I saw, which I actually prayed, things were going to work out for him, was in the World Cup final when he bowled a super over. Because, that could have finished him. If they didn't go on and win the World Cup, all of a sudden the finger could be pointed at him, as it did on myself in a test match.
Is there extra pressure? Is there extra pressure on yourself and Jofra Archer because of coming from West Indian background?
Coming from West Indian background. And at times, on many occasions, I'm there playing for England. And it's different with Jofra now. With obviously you've got the social media, you can put things out there, and also you're concentrating in test cricket. But in the past, where we had these fickle selectors, I'm in a test match and I'm probably trying something to get a batsman out. Okay, trying to a few bounces or whatever, top edge going for 4 and 6, and straight away I know, I got to get a wicket next few overs. The pressure is so much because as soon as taking wickets after wickets, or the batsman doesn't make too much runs in the days I play, and okay, I get a few wickets, but next a bowler get dropped. Who's going to be dropped?
It's me and you, Gary. I can't see Jason. He's supposed to be on air. Maybe he's decided that staying in bed is the wisest option. as nothing is happening. Does anyone else want to join us if you're listening, or have you all gone back to bed, or is it just me and Gary to take you through these last 3 wickets? Probably go quite quickly.
Yeah, Moeen's completing another spot in the batting order. I think he has batted 9 before, but I think he has a full complement from 1 to 9.
Indeed.
But he always takes a scenic route round the order.
Let's have some jingles for the people coming out of bat. This man.
Our bed shouldn't touch. Move over, AMLO. I like it too much. Move over, AMLO. You're one hairy dish. I love unconditionally. It's Moeen Ali.
And this man.
His voice is high-pitched and ginger hair like a picked, but massive runs he has hit, so there's that. Introduce yourself.
Joe Root.
Introduce yourself.
Joe Root.
Introduce yourself.
Joe Root, actually.
Oh, and this man who had to finish an over and just pulled out delivering the first ball, which gives me time to play his jingle.
I thought that cruelty was science fiction until I saw him today. Now that
And he's coming in to bowl to Moeen. First ball just goes on straight past and through the keeper. No run. All right, Jason. Thought you weren't going to turn up. You look a bit sleepy.
Yes, well, I woke up and didn't exactly enjoy looking at the score.
Well, I think he'll be about to go back to bed in about 40 minutes, to be my bet. Tops. Kuldeep bowls and Moeen just prods forward and plays it out on the offside. There's no run. There's no point in really hanging about, is there, for England? You might as well just get this thing done. Play your shots. If you get out, you get out. Sod pride even at this point. I mean...
I think there's a ball with their name on it if they hang around for any length of time, I think. So.
Well, exactly. In fact, that was nearly it. That one spat out of the right. I'm not sure it took anything off Moeen. It might have taken pants, gloves, and gone over second slip. But it didn't go into anyone's hands on a full, and it's not out.
Well, I think Moeen's due to go back in bubble cricket. There is this rotation. But it feels like he's hardly been there because, of course, he went into self-isolation and missed the Sri Lankan matches. But there's some talk that if he's not picked up in the IPL auction on Thursday, that he might stay out there, because one of the reasons why England are sending players home is that some of them are due to finish this series and then go straight into the IPL bubble, which quite rightly is seen as just a bit too much. So the likes of Johnny B and Joss Butler have got this break. Now, whether Moeen gets picked up in that auction, I suspect, well, could go either way, couldn't it? But if he doesn't, I'd hope that he has the chance to build on a decent second innings with the ball and maybe just get a little bit of the mojo back with the bat. What he should certainly be doing here is to bat like he did do when he came into the side, when he was a top 6 batsman. That's what his aim should be. Root's aim should be to play his shots. Moeen's aim should be to get into some batting rhythm against the red ball, because he's played so little red ball cricket.
Oh, and Axar Patel is going to continue on the other end. I'll give him his jingle. I'll play it and I'll talk over it whilst I'm talking. Moeen hasn't got a central contract anymore, has he? Anybody?
Don't know. I'm never sure.
Don't think so.
Axar Patel pulls out of delivering that delivery.
The spin that will bring him some wickets.
No, that is out. Root has gone. He's actually followed that with his bat. That's not very Root-like. I think he got pulled into it a bit. It sort of went off the pitch, jabbed a little bit at it, got an edge, and it's gone to first slip, I think. Was it caught Rohit or was it caught Kohli? He's smiling as he goes off. He's a happy chap. He's had a good start to the year. This game was done pretty much when England got bowled out for 130 odd in the first innings. Oh no, it spat wickedly off the deck. There wasn't actually a lot he could do about that. It spat off the deck and caught his glove and just looped up to slip, and that will be the game. We'll give him a jingle to say goodbye. It could be over quicker than 40 minutes, as I said.
Yeah, there's a bit of parallels with the ball that Virat Kohli got in the second innings when he made 72 excellent runs in the first test on the red pitch.
Yeah.
At just an unplayable ball there. That's why Root was enjoying himself on the way out there, smiling, because you can't really do anything with that. But that's going to happen. You know, we're in the second session of the fourth day on a subcontinental wicket. You might say it's more second session of a fifth day, but it's not outrageously so. He's looking at the video here. But it was good bowling again from Ashar Patel. He's got a lot of balls in the right areas, and he's bowled at the right pace for this wicket. We've got to give him some credit. Okay, the pitch is helping, but you need to bowl it in the right place.
You do need to bowl it.
Very few loose deliveries, hardly a full toss.
You do need to bowl it in the right place. The new batsman is, as that one, he just lets go flying past the outside edge. There he is. Replay of the same ball, just prods at it, Stone, goes through the keeper, no run.
At any ground he comes to, he makes it his own. I wish my papa's heart is so old. Then I'd have a claim of fame of my own.
Next ball, Stone goes back, punches it out to cover, and there's no run. I mean, Rooty just looked at the wicket. I mean, the amount of dust that came out of the pitch as that hit.
I mean, that's the first ball that I've seen which is genuinely unplayable. I mean, you can't play a shot for that. Just impossible.
Well, I'm not sure it's the first ball that's been unplayable, and has done that, but it was unplayable. Defended by Stone out to mid-wicket, and there's no run. I mean, yeah, as a spinner, this is a godsend of a wicket. You don't I mean, this is it. If you find your line and length, then you can vary your flight a little bit, but as long as you get the length right and the line right, I think there's always something in it, and there's always going to be those balls that kick and cause enormous problems for the batsman.
I think you've got to have the pace right. I mean, he's bowled at 90-odd clicks throughout as Ashar Patel, and that's the right pace for this wicket. But I'm sure tweeters will have some responses.
They have. Simon Gear said during the break, Lawrence double stepping, Pope and Folk slob sweeping, Root dropped reverse sweeping. Come on, England. I don't think the problem is only the pitch.
No, it's not. But I mean, I'll say more after this. Oh dear, why was he flashing at that Moen after the ball had virtually gone past him? There's no run. You can't just sit there. If you sit there and just defend, one of those balls is going to get you. You've got to find a method for scoring, and the only way to do that is either come down a track, wait for a bad ball, which there haven't been too many of, or manufacture shots by sweeping. Now Moen just leaves that through the keeper, and there's no run.
We saw Root playing a lot of shots the way Kohli did, going deep in the crease, waiting for the slow spin, and then just knocking it into the leg side gaps. It's not the only way to score, and there's some risk involved in that as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of risk involved in that too.
A lot of it is slow spin, and so there are scoring options.
Yeah, but that depends on the length of the ball. And oh wow, Moen's come down the track. He's not going to die wishing. He's slapped that. He's doing a Rishabh Pant. He's bashed that over long on, and he's thinking of his IPL contract. He did all right in the IPL last year, I think. A couple of games, scored some very quick runs at some points. That was quite a nice shot. He got down the track. He was a good player of spin, was Moen.
Off the mark with a 6, always nice.
Yeah.
That was very flat, though. I mean,
yeah. Well, I mean, Axar does bowl flat, and Kuldeep.
It's not Axar. It's Kuldeep.
It's Kuldeep.
Yeah. I think.
But the wicket's going to do the work for you as a spinner.
I think Kuldeep's bowling himself out of Ahmedabad if ever he was in the frame. I mean, he's to me, he's not turning the ball enough. He's bowling, dare I say, like an English spinner.
Well, and I think he's a bit slow through the air as well.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of that.
That's tossed up and defended by Moen out to Sidney off, and there's no run.
As if to make your point, that came up at 83 clicks, where Akshar has been regularly at 93.
Well, exactly. I'd like to know what that is in miles an hour. I don't know.
Well, 51 or 52 for Kuldeep, and sort of 59 and 60 or so for Akshar.
Left alone, by Moen through the pant, and there is no run.
You've obviously never been riding a motorbike on French roads looking at their speed limits then there.
I don't take a notice of speed limits in France. I drive on the motorways and just pound it through the country. That's too short by Coldeep. Mowing just watches it onto the back, cuts it nicely out to the point boundary. He'll get himself 4 runs.
Now my innings going, great guns. I hit the ball, 4 runs. I hit the ball and it went for 4 runs.
I'm just trying to figure it out. I hate bloody kilometres an hour because I can't figure it out.
80 is 50, and
it?
10 is 6.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that's fast. At 60, 58 miles an hour. Yeah, that is pretty quick for a spinner. I mean, I always think.
Brian says, "Morning. I'm up to hear you say the last 3 wickets. Can you give us a quick Reader's Digest version of what happened to England? They succumbed to the spin,
basically. They decided that the best course of action was to play shots, and eventually their shots got them out.
Jonathan Diaper sent us a picture of Akshar Patel bowling out Ollie Pope,
and that is out. Sure.
Down.
Ollie Stone has gone. He's tried to sweep one across the line. I don't know, unless he's hit that. I don't know why he's reviewing it, because it seemed to keep quite flat.
He's got 3 left. That's why he's reviewing.
Well, yeah, might as well. But I mean, it's hit him pretty much in the box, and he was down on one knee, right in front of middle stump. Well, that's what it looked like to me.
3/4 of the way off.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, he's bowling at 58 kilometres an hour. And yeah, it's pitched, turned. I don't think he's got any bat on it. Maybe. No, I can see the top of off stump bail behind his back there. I think that's hit him in front of middle and off. It's going on to hit middle and off. Silverwood looks a bit glum, but England shouldn't be too glum. They're 1-1 with 2 to play. This series, no matter what, goes down to the 4th test. We could lose the next one and still have a chance. We're going to see if he got any bat on it. He didn't get any bat on it. He was well over the top of it. So we'll go to a review. Ball tracking.
I'll tell you what, if Stuart Broad's coming in after Ollie Stone, he really is out of touch.
Oh, well, there you go. Umpire's call on impact, going on to hit off stump. It was given out. It will be out. England are 9 down. And we could be on for literally just 10 minutes here.
Well, I said 55 overs, so I've got four overs to go in the little sweepstake we had before lunch. But I don't think Broad's going to be too bothered to hang around. I think he'll try and slug sweep 2 and then reverse sweep 2, and he'll be out at the end of this over.
Oh, I think he might last less than that.
He did in the first innings. First or second ball he takes.
Yeah.
I mean, we can talk about lots of different things, and no doubt there'll be lots of talk because there's a bit of a gap now before the pink ball test. But if you make 130 in the first innings, or whatever it was, England 139 in the first innings in India, you're going to lose.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter what the pitch is, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
So, you know, the objective number 1 for England, not sure the composition of the bowling attack, objective number 1 is they have to make 250 to 300 to be in the game in the first innings. Doesn't matter what the pitch is like. The pitch can look like a relief map of the Somme. If you don't make 250, you're going to lose.
Yeah. That's very true. You've gone into the black. You're virtually. I can just see the reflection of your glass.
Oh, there you are.
There you go.
It's the caprice of the technology. I don't know why it does it or doesn't do it. But dawn is breaking over Tooting, and I always like to see the dawn come up. No. Albeit I prefer it not to be looking at a scorecard that says England 126 for 9.
Well, indeed. Swept at, fun enough, by Broad. He gets an under edge into his pad, and there is no run. 126 for 9.
Throughout the first innings, England was saying this is not a pitch you can sweep on. In the second innings, every batsman has come out and swept every other ball.
Exactly. I think they've decided that that's the way to play, isn't it? As you say, it may not be right. I mean, better.
It's not the way India played.
No,
Ashwin
it isn't.
Swept, but nobody else did. I don't think.
They swept occasionally.
Watched and waited.
Well, Rohit did in the first innings, but they also came down the track, which then puts the bowlers off their lengths. You know, which allows you the opportunity to sweep. Broad actually gets off the mark with a nice little work down to long leg. And,
well, that's the shot I've been talking about. He just waits for the slow spin, just lets the ball hit the bat, go into a gap, and walk a single. And I'm not saying you can do that all day, every day, but England could have used that rotating strike zero risk shot more frequently.
Yeah, I think they got a bit discombobulated by the fact that, Moeen is not going to die one.
He's hit that to the beach.
He has. I think he's. I think he might have hit it onto the roof. He's come down the track at Axar and smashed it. It's a great shot. Straight back over the bowler's head, down over long on for another one of these. He's sort of saying, take that, as he smashes it back over his head. And he's coming down again, and he's done the same again. And same result. Oh, this is quite fun.
One toke over the line, sweet Jesus, one toke over the line.
And we're going to have a fastest test 50. What's the fastest test 50?
Moeen says he's not a six hitter, but what he is such a beautiful mover with such balance that if he does connect, it goes miles because everything is going into the ball. So once he middles it, it's gone. So he may not say he's a six hitter, but try telling Virat Kohli that.
Well, Virat's gone back to his IPL team and said, look, this boy can hit sixes.
I think he's also trying to hit himself into form.
Yeah, which is not a bad
Not
move
a bad
in
ploy, no,
circumstances.
it's not. Gives you a bit of confidence, doesn't it?
Virat's got a bit grey in the beard there. Maybe you should have a word with Sunil Gavaskar, whose hair dye is astonishingly horrible to look at. But there's quite a lot of bad hair dye on show in the commentary boxes on the subcontinent.
Indeed,
But
maybe
Gavaskar's hair dye is particularly egregious.
Maybe a bit of Rudy Giuliani too.
Oh!
Well, Axar's going to continue.
Well, he has to. He's got one ball in the over.
Well, he has, yeah, obviously. Is he going to? He's coming over the wicket though. Down the track comes Moeen. And he's gone again, and I think it's gone just as far. It's gone on the roof. No, just under the roof line. Jesus Christ! Moeen has smashed that. We're running out of six jingles.
You can play 666.
Yeah.
Oh, I already played that. That's a great shot. He's going to top score here in about 12 balls, isn't he? 13 balls.
Who says you can't time the ball out of the dust bowl there? Each one took a puff of dust, but each one was absolutely middled. What are the tweets saying about it? They must be happy with that.
Mike says it'll be great to get some proper sleep now for the next 8 days, talking about the time between this and the next test. Mog says it's time to drop route, somewhat with our legs, I think. Mayank says, here we go, entries for Broadley coming right up. And
well, we've only
got Mog says, this is the unsatisfactory result for Ashwin, really. That's how I feel for in all this, because I think he's being denied a chance of 110 wickets.
Well, he bowled enough. Didn't take. He got a couple, didn't he? But the wickets have been reasonably shared. Kuldeep is going to continue from the other end. He's got one.
It's been about 5 minutes since the last over finished, which just goes to show how you can stop a side in its tracks by hitting a few sixes.
Well, yeah, Kuldeep is into the attack, and that's a really nice try by Stuart Broad. It's so easy to bat out there, Gary. As that one sails out to the extra cover boundary for a beautiful hit. Not quite all along deck, but it's 4 runs.
And if you kids can't listen, then you bound to see the way you get shot for crossing a boundary,
That was actually a very nice
absolutely
shot.
authentic cricket strokes, extra cover drive, and the lift back over the bowler's head. There's nothing manufactured or sluggy about any of those shots. They're just see ball, hit ball.
Yeah, I think it's easier for the left-hander, isn't it, against the ball coming into you, even on a wicket that's dusting up like this. Swept tap by Broad, and he missed it. Pant takes the bails, but I don't think Broad's foot left the crease.
Again, if we're looking for lessons for England as they go to Ahmedabad, the number of times the cross-batted shot hitting across the line has been a failure to connect. The number of times with the full face of the bat shots they have connected. There's no comparison, I don't think, although somebody will show some stats that prove otherwise. But if you hit across the line, you're not connecting with the ball anything like as often as you do if you hit through the line.
No, indeed. Kuldeep up to the crease, bowls. Maybe an attempt to googly. It just seemed to maybe go on a little bit. Certainly didn't turn away from Broad. but it was a bit too short, and he just defends it, and there's no run.
I see, Jason, you've got one of these one-sided headphones. Oh, no, it's two-sided. It's two-sided. Oh, the mysteries of the green screen got me.
Ah, yeah, indeed. Swept! Oh, now whatever. Hill for LBW. Probably picked outside leg stump. No, there isn't.
Yes, it's it's a disappearing boom mic as well, which is great fun.
Yeah, you seem to be sort of turning into a little bit of a Terminator there. Oh, no, it's Total Recall, I think, isn't it, where they reconstruct the face?
That's the one. Defended out to cover, and there's no run.
Get your ass to Mars. Get your ass to Mars. It looks a bit like Mars on the other pitch, doesn't it? It looks a bit Red Planetish on that beautiful wicket that we had for the first test.
Yep.
This one more dark than red.
And Kuldeep bowls again, and Broad just props forward, defends out on the leg side. I think he's saying to Moeen, you can just have the next over, go and smash it back over his head once more, and see if you can get a quick 50.
There's some gloriously over-the-top CGI in that film to go with the Verhoeven's previous one, which was it's RoboCop, if I'm not correct.
Yeah, I think it probably was RoboCop, but it's a great film, the first Total Recall, and the short story on which it's based, called We Can Remember It For You Wholesale,
yeah.
by Philip K. Dick, is also a marvellous read. Well, Bear, you're getting your wish. Or was it you, Jason? I can't remember.
No, it was Mog's wish.
Mog, yes.
He wanted 10 wickets and 100 for Ashwin, but he can only get 9 now.
Indeed.
And did we say anything about Axar getting a 5-er?
No, we didn't. I didn't realise he had got a 5. Oh, yeah, yes. There you go. Axar's got 5 for 60 off 21 overs. Pretty good bowling.
He's very much deserved that. His figures have been a little ruined by Moeen's aggression, but he's bowled really, really well, I think.
Well, he has. And Ashwin is into Moeen, bowls on the line of leg stump. He just defends. It's going to be harder for Moeen to lift Ashwin over his head, obviously with the ball turning away from him. Risks everything, but well, it hasn't stopped him. Oh no, he hasn't quite got hold of that one. It was being chased back. Was that Kohli chasing that back?
I think it was.
I think it was. No, it's Siraj.
Siraj.
It's all the beers, they all look the same. And I think it bounced just inside the boundary, didn't it?
No, I think it was over.
Was it?
They've given it as 4, but I thought it was over. It's another beautiful shot, though. The hang time of that was enormous.
Let's see where it... No,
yeah, you're right there.
Just inside the boundary. So we'll give it one of these. And that's swept. And there's no one out there. That's in the crowd again. He's giving a show here, is Moeen. That's another 6. That's fantastic. This is entertainment at the end of the game. I love it. And Moeen becomes England's top scorer. In 15 balls, he's got 38 runs.
So is it 327 for the win?
Yeah, got to keep going, Mo.
Well, it's all right, mate. We'll get there in 6s.
Yeah. Very good.
Strike rate of 253.3. It's not an IPL game, but Mo is playing like one. And Ashwin's this over has gone .46. And England are 159 for now. When they did beat their first innings score, Mo has taken them past it.
Essos has joined us. He says, just got up. What did I miss? Ooh, Moeen playing cricket.
Yeah, Moeen's not going to die wondering. He's given it another heave-ho down out to the leg side. This time he won't reach the boundary. Kuldeep is down there. And it'll only be a single as he fields it and throws it back in. And this could be the end of the game now. As Broad is now back on strike. Is he going to try to do what Moeen does? I hope not.
Well, he almost...
I was going to wonder, in fact, whether Kuldeep was going to pick up his bins that he dropped on the floor there, and he was just left on the outfield.
What, his sunglasses?
Yeah.
5 runs if it hits those. I feel Broad is as likely to hit with a slug as he is with a defensive bat, so why not?
Well, that's it. But then have a short leg in, and he might have got an inside edge off pad, and it just balloons up on the leg side.
You'd be a brave man to be short leg in these circumstances.
Well, that's true, and there's no run. Ashwin around the wicket, bowls flat, and they're appealing for the catch. Is that out?
don't think so. I think that's straight off the pad, but that was a Karen ball, I think.
Yeah, it was. It definitely seemed to sort of go in with the arm, didn't it? It did something funny. That's the end of the over. I need to go to the loo. You two yap.
Leah says, I go out to get some groceries during lunch. It doesn't take that long, but England managed to lose some more right after lunch anyway. Effing F. And Ritesh Mishra says, Rusab has been excellent. He's keeping well. It was very important. Otherwise, he's an essential as a batsman. The team may have thought of dropping a batsman. That could have been Rahane, who I think has not had a good run of late.
Yeah, Rahane is the man in the firing line, but Shubman Gill is off the field having a scan on the blow he took yesterday. So if he is not fit, then there may be a rejigging in the order, or probably the next man in line is Mayank, who's been doing 12th man duties for him. Shall I do a little bit of ball by ball, Jason?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, it might be enough. This is the over in which I had in the sweepstake, 55 overs. Oh, the Bears back already. 55 overs was my guess, and this is the 55th over.
And Kuldeep is coming into bowl, and Moen's down a track, drives that beautifully through the offside, pierces between cover and extra cover, races away to the boundary. It's 4 more runs.
He's just decided to play a T20, hasn't he?
He has, basically. Well, this is it. The IPL auction's on Thursday.
But he's timed absolutely everything. It's all come out of the middle of the bat. It's all been from beautifully balanced base. I mean, he's not slogging here. He's hitting.
Yeah, he is hitting, and with beautiful timing as well. Kuldeep he's going to be out. And that's it. Kuldeep did the smart thing, threw it up very wide, and Moeen came down a track to try and repeat the dosage, and he didn't get anywhere near it, didn't reach it. It was well wide of him. He realised he was never going to get back and just turned around and watched Pant take off the bails. But Pant gets another stumping. A lot of stumpings in this game.
Almost stumped off a wide. I mean, it was very near stumped off a wide.
Well, yeah, possibly, but not in this game. It's a test match.
You can be stumped off a wide.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
was almost a test match wide.
Exactly, but you can be stumped off a wide, so it wouldn't have mattered.
Yes,
India win by
that's
317 runs. England have been thoroughly outplayed in this test match. A beautiful 160 by Rohit in the first innings, with Rahane and Pant backing up with 50s. Really put India in the box seat. Root got out for just 6 runs in the first innings, and England sort of panicked a bit and crumbled, really. The pitch has been pretty capricious from day one. What India ordered, pretty much to get themselves back in the series. Whilst I don't particularly like it, I can completely understand it. You're on home territory, and as an Indo said, if the ball doesn't seam, and that's what you're used to in your country, that's what you do, and that's kind of fair enough, I guess. I do wish it had been a little bit flatter. I don't mind a turn from day one, but I wish it had just been a bit more consistent for the first couple of days. And England were pretty much on the back foot from that point on. They did have a chance, actually, when they had 5 down India yesterday morning. If they'd have got through the wickets then, England would have only probably had to chase about 230, 240 possibly. But skipper Kohli did a skipper's knock. He got himself to 70, wasn't it? And no, 60, I think. And
62, I think.
62. And Ashwin got himself a ton, which meant that India got 289 in the second innings. And
I think he's probably a shoe-in for the... I know Rohit got 160, and that set the tone in the first innings, but Ashwin's 100 in the second innings, that was... made a huge difference to the results. There was only one possible result then thereafter.
There was. Oh, we did have some IPL entries today. Omboy Noeva came in for 97 and 267. What did England come out on this morning?
53 for 3, I think.
Oh my God! If they did, he might well have got it. 53. What did we get? 164. 53. No, that wouldn't right. That would be a 1 on the end, wouldn't it? That would be 111. Better check the scorecard then, eh? Other than that,
after doing that, I should do some tweets. Moeen Mog says Moeen's just securing his place in the next test. And of course, I says don't want to jinx Moeen, but wanted to say thank you for being early risers and bringing us great content. But you did jinx him, but you're not the only one.
It was always going to happen.
Moeen, highest score in this England innings. He's now got a serious chance to beat the fastest ever Test match 50 by Misbah off 21 balls.
Yeah, no, England did end on 53 last night, so the score was 111. That's not a bad guess, though, by Boy Novo. He had 97, so 111 wasn't too far off. He went the right way. I meant to close it off after the 6th wicket fell, but I didn't, so we were in a little bit of danger there.
Well, what do the following batsmen have in common? And this will be my final contribution, because I've got to get off and get things done. What do the following batsmen have in common? Rohit Sharma, Ajinkya Rahane, Rishabh Pant, Virat Kohli and Ravichandran Ashwin.
You all got over 50.
They all scored more than any other English batsman. The highest score in the match was 43 from Moeen Ali on the English side, and second was 42 not out by Ben Stokes. And that really is the answer to whether it's all about winning the toss or all about the
Ben Folkes,
pitch.
not Ben Stokes.
There are, was it 5 or 6 names I read out there, all of whom scored more than any English bat. And one of them scored 161 in what I'm still saying is one of the great innings of 21st century Test match cricket in the circumstances, having lost the first Test so badly, setting the tone, England being under the cosh from the word go. And England did not bat well. They never had the belief that was required. They lacked the technique. And they lacked the morale, I think, towards the end. I mean, England have been... you get the feeling England were losing this match really from the moment that Rohit Sharma took lunch on 80. Was he 81 not out or something on the first day? And it isn't really good enough. It's not easy to win Test matches in India. We know that. We know that bubble cricket isn't easy. But to lose every session of a match, which I'm pretty sure England did in this Test.
No, they won the session yesterday morning, I'd say. They got 5 wickets.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, fair enough. But to lose as many sessions in a match as this, in other words, to fail to be competitive, I think that's a poor show, and I think England have got some thinking to do. They've got some practice to do. They've got some thinking about how they're going to play on the turning strips, and I think they've got some selection issues to do with their bowling as well. In a pink ball Test, are they going to play 2 spinners? Can Joe Root act as a second spinner, especially with Moeen probably going home and Dominic Bess having a bit of the yips? Are they going to go to a wild card, Mason Crane or Matt Parkinson, I think, is out there? There's a lot for England to think about here. If you take the 2 tests together, England have done well, better than expected. They're 1-1. But they started off playing very, very well, and they finished playing pretty damn poorly. So much to be done for England.
I think you've got to take matches in isolation. You start again at the next match. As you said, I mean, England are in a series. They're 1-1. No, I mean, a lot of us thought England were going to get slaughtered this whole series. India might have felt they made a mistake with that first wicket. I mean, they got Curator in who didn't know anything. I mean, and we thought it was a good Test wicket, but Indians clearly didn't. And they swung completely the other way. They made a homer wicket, which is, as I said, they're entitled to do. And England have struggled on it. And the question is, no one knows what Ahmedabad's going to play like, and it's a pink ball test.
That's the point I was just about to make. It's a completely new stadium, new ground, new surface. No one's played matches on it before,
and it's a pink ball test.
They've got no idea how it's going to go, and it's a pink ball. So, even if they get things right for the 3rd test, there's no knowledge of how it's going to play for the 4th.
No,
but I'm looking forward to it, and I'll see you then. I'm going to get off now. Thank you very much for listening to me. I'm sure there'll be some more tweets and more comments before we go off the air, but I'll see you in Ahmedabad.
Throw them out there, and then we'll get off. We might as well.
Neil Franklin says, thanks for the cricket, croque monsieur and homemade cider for breakfast. Interesting choice of breakfast.
Well, that's a very interesting choice of breakfast.
See you in Ahmedabad.
Yeah, see you in Ahmedabad. Any more?
Hawkster says, whoa, that last 4 from Moeen meant England finally outscored Rohit in an innings. And Chris Drew says, breakfast of champions for the croque monsieur and cider for breakfast. And that's all the tweets. Is there anybody on any other media? Let me just check.
I've got some YouTube up here. We've had
yes, there's lots of YouTube. Yeah, you go through those.
Tim Nasuka It's fantastic. Listen to Devon Malcolm. I remember his relaxed run-up style and watching him on TV against Australia in the Ashes. It's funny how Boycott never mentions his own run in with a young Devon. That's true. The Hairman says, third time's the charm. I think this is the first time Root hasn't got a 50-plus score in a test in India. It's true, and I'm a great believer, Jason, in that every team has a bad game, and eventually this run was going to come to an end. We won. Our last away series was South Africa, where we came back from 1-0 down to win 3-1. Then we had a decent home summer after a bit of pandemic. Then we've gone to Sri Lanka and won 2-0. We were never going to, being 1-0 up in India was a bit of a dream, and we've all had to come crashing down. But as I said, we're still in the series, and that is good. And the series is going to go to the final test anyway now at 1-1. So it's all to play for, which is great.
It is, but I think we've now given India the blueprint for what they're going to try to prepare at least in Ahmedabad, even if the situation doesn't warrant it. Play to their strengths.
Well, I agree with that, but I think any team. We don't know until this happens. But I mean, any team that was facing, if you can get yourself 300 on that sort of wicket, batting first, and I don't think there's any reason. If the scores are level at the start of the game and England won the toss and they played sensibly, I mean, it did get more capricious as the game went on, but it was capricious from the start. I think if England had batted first and got 300, I think India would have been in trouble in this test as well, because it's never easy to score runs. You've either got to be aggressive and get away with it for the length of your innings, or wickets are going to fall. And it's harder to be aggressive when the pressure is on. When I mean, if England had got 300 and they got a couple of early wickets, say when India coming batting second, and they were say 30 for 2, it's a whole different ball game. And the fact is that India got 300 and England were 30 odd for 4, and from that point on, you could never really, it was going to be a long haul to get back on this sort of wicket. So it is quite important to win the toss, I think, and get a score on the board. There's no guarantees, of course. There was no guarantees that England would get 550 in the first test. They just happened to do it, and it was a fantastic innings by Root, and they've had a fantastic innings by Rohit here. But I wouldn't say that if the wicket's like that, England are out of the game. I think if England bat first in those conditions, they can put a pressure on India too. They might handle it better, but I think there's still a chance of that. I don't believe in they can't bat on these wickets, and they can't create pressure for the opposition.
I'm reminded of the toss and the look of glee on Kohli's face when he
finally won one.
Yeah, and said, "Oh, we'll have a bat and your stuff, by the way."
Yeah, exactly. And England.
What didn't help that England bowled appallingly in that first session to allow Rohit to score almost 80 runs by himself.
Yeah, see, I didn't see the first session.
That may have been a session where they lost the game, perhaps.
Quite possibly. I mean, I got up at about 7 or 8 o'clock, I think, on Saturday morning, and exactly that. And I was thinking, well, if we can get Rohit out here, I mean, I saw one wicket fall, and I thought, well, I looked at the pitch and thought, we can get a wicket out, but Rohit just carried on until eventually gave it away. And at that point, you thought, this is going to be tricky.
I'd agree with you, and not against Gary, about the fact that we lost every session. England lost every session in that game, even when they took 5 wickets yesterday morning. India still scored 100 runs. Yeah,
that's true, I suppose. Oh well. Last messages on YouTube. Chirian Kunas says the IPL auction is in a couple of days. Clearly, yep, that's what I was saying. And Smack T20 final was won by Taman Adu, who fielded 4 spinners in Ahmedabad. Says the Harriman, which is interesting. Right, that's it on YouTube. Any more on Twitter? Or I'm going to say goodbye and we get out of here.
Brian 001 says, thanks for entertaining commentary and see you next test. Mog says, thanks for letting us experience the joy of the English lost through your eyes. Yeah. And that's the tweet's done.
Okie dokie. Thanks everyone for listening. You can all go back to bed now if you're in this country. It's 7:15. I'm going to go home and go to bed. It's great. I don't have to come in tomorrow. I'm quite happy about that. It's quite tiring, this getting up at 3 in the morning nonsense. Only one more test to do because the next one's day nighter. Starts at 9 a.m. Is it 9 a.m.? I thought it was 8 a.m. GMT, but everyone keeps saying it's 9. So
I think it's 9. I think it's
that would be a
4 and a bit hours.
Well, I think it's 5 and a bit. I think it's 5.5 hours because it's our winter. But hey ho, we'll look on the thing. We'll know soon. But what it isn't is 3 o'clock in the morning get-ups, which is great. Thanks for coming along, Jason, for that. What was half an hour?
Short and sweet.
Short and sweet. Enjoy the rest of your day. We're out of here, and we'll see you for the next test. Until then,
bye.
Goodbye.
Guerrilla cricket.